Josiah just sent a super. I agree that Trump will almost certainly get away with it because of pardon power and immunity and SCOTUS, limited appetite for Democratic candidates, but I'd like each of you to tell me how this probability impacts your view of the USA, if at all, and the world.
This is a trash super chat. It's a trash super chat.
I view it as like, that's the potential danger that could be happening right now.
Oh, you're fine with them getting away with it? How does it make you view the USA? You think that's okay? And they just totally shift
this is
what
Josiah,
the argument
you know that,
is
right?
about. It is Josiah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying like they, like this proverbial like idiot.
Yes, no.
But right now,
Oh,
with the
I was.
war, he has admin. He can just let
you're right.
in.
Josiah
I was
pays,
baiting
Josiah
him. I
pays
was
for this.
baiting him.
Yeah,
I was
Josiah
baiting
pays
him,
for
yo.
this fucking shit. I'd like to talk about Pisco's interpretation of my fucking super chat. For a guy who's a trained lawyer, apparently lost all reading comprehension, I think it was a perfectly valid question. I actually agree with IRI and Hutch that this is almost fait accompli at this point, outside of, packing the Supreme Court, invalidating
liberal
charges.
surrender hands.
Wait a minute.
Hey,
wait a
I'm
minute. It's a
surrendering.
perfectly
I'm
valid
surrendering.
question. This
I'm
isn't a
taking the
roundabout
piss.
way to
I'm taking the
slam
piss on
Hutch.
you.
If I want to slam Hutch, I'll do it directly. I agree with Hutch.
I'm surrendering you. The reason I bring it up is because I see a bunch of comments directed to Hutch, which is like, Hutch, you don't think that Trump is that bad. You don't think that you were okay with this going on. You don't think that you think this is acceptable. I'm not saying you're doing it, Josiah.
You did say I did it, asshole. You did.
I know, but
let's jump back to a previous Hutch trolley problem, which I actually agree with him on.
I don't think that we should make the mistake of hyping Trump up to be this person that is like way more powerful and strong than he actually is. Like basically nothing that he's done during this presidency cannot be undone, or the next president can't begin the process of undoing it right away. He has not codified anything in a lasting way like the ACA, the Department of Education, and USAID. He didn't end those programs. He just defunded those programs through various like budget tricks that he can do as president. The next Dem president can literally write a memorandum day one and start those programs back up again. Nothing, the one big beautiful bill, like these things have expiration dates. The tax cuts, he can get rid of get rid of those with a simple majority. He doesn't need to do like a veto-proof majority. Like he is not delivering anything in this term in a lasting kind of way. That doesn't mean he's not doing a lot of damage. That doesn't mean he's not damaging our reputations. That doesn't mean he's not hurting a lot of people right now. But the next Dem president can get in there and undo like most of what he's already done day one if they want to.
Wait, I need to.
I don't agree.
I want to argue with this, but real quick, I did get a clarification on that super. They said that you were talking to Destiny, and that when talking about adding SCOTUS judges, you said that Trump needed 60 votes. This isn't true. You just need a simple majority because
no,
they
he's
got rid
wrong.
of that filibuster.
He's wrong. No, he's wrong.
That's not true.
No. You only need a simple majority. Right, he's right.
No,
for Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, you need a
you talked about increasing the number.
No, not confirming. Not confirming. If you want to add seats to the Supreme Court, you need a bill that has either 60 votes or you get rid of the filibuster. To do judicial confirmations, that's what.
That's a simple majority. Yeah.
So those okay. I don't know. There's confusion.
But we were going to talk about this on stream at some point, but I guess we'll talk about it now. And that's the idea that like, we can undo a lot of the damage that Trump has done. Yeah, sure. And the checks and balances are holding back a lot of his shit. But this feels like almost like the grading Trump on a curve stuff, where it's like, hey, we can't undo the millions of people that are going to die from U.S. aid cuts. Like we can't undo the like erosion of our institutions and the distrust in our institutions. We can't undo like some of these fascist things that are going to take. I mean, like the Supreme Court justice like stealing, that's going to take decades to overcome. And the idea that it's like, we'll just like win the election and we'll be fine is like, no, we're fucked for like 40 years and
we're going to be cleaning up this mess for the rest of our lives.
But I'm saying like things are not just going to be, we'll just undo it.
I don't understand the pessimism, because if you put your mind in the mindset of like a Democrat in 2004 after that election, that was catastrophic. I mean, there was so much commentary at the time. It was like, is the Democratic Party just fucking dead? Like, are they never going to come back from this? And then 4 years later, Barack Obama gets in there with a 60 vote threshold.
Yeah, we weren't dealing with
I don't understand what the claim is, right? Like, is the claim that Democrats will never win again, or is the claim that Trump has caused no significant lasting damage?
I'm saying
what are we trying to evaluate?
No. I didn't say that he hasn't caused lasting damage.
I'm just asking
I'm saying his policies are very fragile. Like you don't even need Congress to end a lot of the policies that he's enacted so far. And when you compare that with like Democratic presidents, when they've had trifectas, the last time the Republicans codified something in a lasting way was like the Patriot Act. That was
okay,
like
but
2 decades
Hutch,
ago.
let me propose something to you, because what we're looking at here is like, okay, the SAVE Act's not going to pass, right? Good. We're all happy that's not going to pass because it doesn't have the votes. All it takes is one bad midterm. All it takes is one bad JD Vance is in office when January 6th happens again, and they steal an election, and they do have the ability to use these checks and balances to their advantage and pass the, hey, elections are fucked forever bill, like the SAVE Act. And after that, it's like, hey, that's it. That's the existential, like, there are no more elections. There are no more Democrats. We don't win because they have so sufficiently fucked us. So yes, we're not there yet.
No.
Yes, I'm not doom pilled. But the
You
fact
sound
that
like it. You sound like
but
it.
listen to me, because it's like they keep bumping against the glass of like, once this shatters, we can't put that back glass, and it just takes one fuck up. Yeah, it's cool that we can reverse a lot of this, but it's like, hey, well, we win the midterms and we're good. It's like, okay, but what happens if next election there's just that slight pendulum swing? They get just the amount of majority that they need, and then they do pass these, hey, we've removed the future ability of elections thing. Like, I think you're being way too optimistic about like how fucking close these people are to like trying to subvert democracy forever.
Well, what are you proposing to stop that from happening?
I think he's just addressing the descriptive claim. I don't think he's proposing.
Yeah, we can get into that after.
I've never said that the Republican Party are not dangerous or they don't pose a threat. All I'm saying is that
are we just assessing the claim? Your claim, right? The claim is something like a lot of the policies can be reversed on day one, if not all, and stopped. And I actually probably agree with Hutch as such, that you just stop doing all the fucked up shit, right? And you can do that because a lot of it hasn't been done by statute. But what I think about is like separating the notion of the harm done by the policies having been enacted for 4 years. Well, first of all, there's a set of things that will stay, and those are his judiciary picks. All the things related to the judiciary picks are here to stay. But the harm caused by the Trump presidency will linger and we'll be cleaning up for the rest of our lives, including all the fucked up shit he's doing with the bureaucracies. That's structural. I'm not even looking at the downstream harmful effects of USID or any of the policies had on real people's lives. Just cleaning up the mess that they've made of the federal bureaucracy will be decades-long projects to do. And I understand that we're stopping.
What do you mean? What do you think
to relearn all the institutional knowledge that has been lost with certain gutting of certain institutions, for example.
What does that mean?
So, for example, when we get rid of members of the Department of Education, when we mass fire people from the CFPB or change its structure such that it's no longer operating, you're losing a lot of those.
But that's not going to take decades.
Structural.
That's not going to take
to rebuild the bureaucracy. I think
some of these people might not come back to it, and you have to like. There's not like documents like, oh, we just read the book on what the procedure is. This is like, hey, we've lost like generations of intelligence in these places.
I understand. I'm not saying that what he's done with the DOE hasn't had a really negative impact, and I've never denied that it would take some time to wind it up. It's not going to take fucking decades to wind up the Department of Education, though. This is a bit hyperbolic.
A lot of good people in the federal bureaucracies have been totally excised from public life and from the in service. And
this is America.
Losing those people.
This is America. There's a lot of talented people.
Let
me give you an example of something like I've directly dealt with. When they gut,
I don't think that you're hearing me, Hutch. I'm making a specific claim.
Sorry.
Okay. So listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it takes decades to build up a lot of these institutional knowledge, these kinds of like an agency expertise that's developed through this natural process of a set of people who advance together, a set of people who build up a culture within an organization. Think about the U.S. Attorney's Office in half of these places where they're just fucking cleaning house, getting rid of people who have this kind of like prior information. Like, think about any company or corporation or corporate culture that takes decades to build. And eviscerating the bureaucracy, it's going to take a significant amount of effort. I say decades. If you want to say, a decade or less than that, I don't know. I'm just saying it was a huge loss. And a lot of this knowledge and this base of public workers that we had, it took a while to bring them back. And it's not just as easy as getting a new president on day one to make sure these agencies are running the way we want them to.
Well, listen, I'm certainly not saying it's going to be easy, but I think I'm just pushing back against the rhetoric that I hear a lot that, Donald Trump has done this like permanent damage with his powers and it's just going to be, impossible. And a lot of that I think comes from a misunderstanding of of like what he's done and through what authority he's done these things. Like, I don't know if a lot of people understand that the Department of Education is technically not dead. Like, you can't, I don't think you can do that without Congress. What he did was he effectively just ended the funding for it. And the same thing with USAID. It's not dead. Like, he didn't have the authority to just like kill that agency. And the next president can begin the process of winding those agencies back up, like day one, without Congress.
Just you can wind them up, but the difference between I can dismantle this in like a few weeks, and I need to build up the connections, the generational knowledge, like the ability to be as effective as it was. That's not a 1 year thing. That's not even like a 5 year thing. That could be a decade or more to reestablish those connections and that trust. And so I'm not saying it's permanent. I'm not saying like we can never undo this. We should never try. Like, it's fucking over. What I'm saying is, one, these things are way, way, way easier to fuck with and dismantle than they are to build back up. And we have like probably decades of work to do, depending on which institution. Some of it's easy, some of it's not. And two, we keep getting one check away from never winning an election again, from never having a Democrat in power, right? Like,
No.
Listen, IRA.
Stop saying that.
On January 6th, if Mike Pence had sided with
so
Trump,
ridiculous to
if
even
if they had stole the election, do you not think that would have led to a world where Democrats wouldn't win again?
No, they weren't going to, and they're not going to this time. There's people don't like to hear this, but like the idea that we're not going to have free and fair elections moving forward is just insane. Like, they've already failed with their attempts to steal the election.
I'm aware of this.
Mid-decade.
I'm aware that they have failed and that we have the possibility. I'm saying we keep getting really fucking close to, hey, all it takes is like, oh, what if they got the simple majority in the House and the Senate, and now all of a sudden they are able to pass a SAVE Act? What if the filibuster gets nuked at some point and they are
none of that
to take it away? Like,
no, but the SAVE Act would not stop us from ever getting into power. It would disenfranchise some people, but as Pisco argued, probably even more MAGA. And it's not going to stop us from the giant wave that's coming. So the SAVE Act bullshit by Trump is just to set up his claims of election fraud in November when he loses. That's it.
If that's what it's for. But if you look at some of the ways that states have been gerrymandered in this country to the point where Democrat vast majorities are losing and not even getting a seat, when in what, like I think this is in North Carolina specifically, where we were talking about, where it's like, hey, this has already gotten to the point where this is not democratic, and like Democrats do not have a say to the extent of which they should be represented. And if we keep getting one check away from this happening, like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's doomed, oh, it's fucking over, but the idea that like, oh, we can just undo it, when, hey, like, this is like, I don't know, like, it seems like we'll all acknowledge Trump is a fascist. We're on the road to fascism. We're on the road to dictatorship. This is very serious. Millions of people are dying, and we shit on lefties for like not supporting the blue no matter who. And I'm like, good. But then we're like, oh, but it's not that bad. It's like, no, it is that bad. It is like, this could
say that it's not that
potentially
bad,
lead to the end of democracy. I think I'm leaning more positive than I am, but some of the optimism that I'm hearing is like, this is not like oh, silly little Trump is incompetent. This is like thank God they're fucking up, because this is like 1 or 2 steps away from like, we don't get elections anymore. I really do think that like they would do this if they could, and they can't, thank God, but it's serious.
They can't, and they never will. They're pathetic, and competent people could not get to the position where they could do this. But the point, I want to like back up Hutch a little bit here. I know it's going to piss off my DGG fans or whatever. I don't know what fight you've been having with Destiny and them, but I actually think there'll be momentum to rebuild these agencies in a new modern way that excites people, because right now they're dated. Like the Department of Education, people are disconnected from that. They don't understand the purpose of it, and they just think it's useless. Now it'll give us a chance to rebuild it in a modern light that I think will get people excited. And I understand the brain drain of people who've been there for 20, 30 years. That loss, that's gone. That's going to take time to rebuild. But I think we can build something even better on the other side.
No, I'm hopeful about it, and I grant that it's a low likelihood thing. So Hutch and I are correct that the ending of American democracy is low likelihood. The thing is, it's an intolerable percentage. You know, something like a 2% or 3% chance that we don't have free and fair elections anymore is intolerable in the sense that it's too much, right? I agree with you guys generally that I'm an optimist in the sense that I think that we're going to be able to move past it. But and I don't agree. I'm not like doom-pilled. We should be fascist or whatever the. I don't even know what the solutions are. They seem like totally fanciful, not concrete at all. I'm with Hutch on that. But the harm can't. We can't understate it. It's not just institutional knowledge with respect within actors and within agencies and stuff like that. That's just one example. Here's another example. America's credibility domestically and internationally. There is because of what Trump has done, no one trusts America's word when it comes, forget about it, a treaty, forget about it. Any long-term planning with the United States is always in question. Because they don't trust that the next guy isn't going to follow the process. That was something that is hard to calculate, but it is permanent damage. That's not going to be recoverable. The next Democratic president isn't going to be able to promise a foreign leader like Zelensky, hey, we got your back. And those kinds of promises can't be made. But even internally, right? Internally, think about domestic actors like corporations. They are going to not feel secure in some of their property rights, perhaps. They're going to be more willing to do pay-for-play things because they understand that in a given administration, you can grease the wheel. This is really bad for corruption in the future, given what has happened and what has been shown to be possible can be done with the presidency. That's permanent damage, for sure. That doesn't mean we can't overcome it, but it's permanent and it's going to take decades to undo, in my opinion.
I don't think I have. I would quibble a little bit about like literally decades, but I wouldn't want to fight you too hard on that because I agree with the spirit of everything that you're saying. I think that there is value and usefulness in being vigilant against the dangers of this moment. I think that's probably one thing that is, a point in our favor to not slide into fascism is because we have just so many fucking tens of millions of Americans that are just super engaged and hyper vigilant about that kind of thing. That's a benefit that like Nazi Germany didn't have and fascist Italy, the civilians at the time didn't have that kind of like engagement and that kind of level of information and these kinds of things. Like that's useful. I just want to, pause there and not slide into like a full on doomer pill. Because there's a lot of that going around. A doomer pill is like, for example, suggesting that Donald Trump right now can literally do whatever he wants to do, which is just
but who says
not
that?
true. I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of people believe that right now.
Literally anything he wants to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
That's ridiculous.
I think it's unserious.
The point is like he is absolutely going to be pushing the legal bounds constantly. I mean, we just I think the war is illegal. I think the tariff stuff was illegal. He got away with it for a year, and it's like, yeah, sure, he can't do literally anything. If he got everything he wanted, SAVE Act would already be passed. The filibuster would be nuked. He'd be doing dictatorship. But the point is, like, every single day he's trying and pushing against the glass, and it's like this is not just like, like. Posit this: if Mike Pence had decided to let him steal the election in 2020, where do you think we would be right now?
I don't think he would have had the support of the military, quite frankly.
I don't think it would have worked.
But think about what you just said. He wouldn't have had the support of the military. So you're saying we would have had a military coup in this country. Like that's how much more it would have escalated to.
Well, that's not how I would characterize it. That's not how I would characterize it as as a definitional matter. But I agree with you that it was a risk. The fact that it was at all conceivable, I would even put in the January 6th context 3, 4, 5% chance that Trump would be successful in preventing or significantly delaying beyond the amount that was actually delayed the transition of power. That is just outrageous. That is like horrific that percentage chance, even though it's in absolute terms low, but that it's significant. That is just crazy. But I don't think that it's likely that we would have lost our democracy if Mike Pence had signed on to it, or Vance if he does it this time.
But Pisco, I think we have to zoom out and look at why do people support something crazy like that? Like what has led people to abandon our democracy? And I think it's the failure of Congress to address our problems and then we have outdated laws that aren't being updated because Congress is a logjam. So I don't think it's like the people are naturally against democracy. I think if we just fix some structural things like gerrymandering and send better people to Congress and actually update these laws so that Congress actually makes people's lives better, their faith in democracy will be restored.
I hope so. Listen, I just want to say, like, I don't think the soy pill and I are black pilled. I think that we largely agree on the nature of the threat. Put aside with 10 years, 4 years, these are all kind of like, okay, we can disagree on that, whatever. I think that there's only so much structure though that can I like our structure. I think that there needs to be significant changes on some areas. I think we'd all agree on that. But there's only so much structure that will prevent against like bad people being elected. Okay. And if you have malicious actors, right, it's very hard to construct a rule that prevents the president of the United States or create an executive that doesn't introduce a whole host of other problems to like solve corruption without having a bedrock of people voting for trustworthy and good individuals. And that's something that we all have to work on, is not letting someone like this get in power. And I think a lot of people are looking for like panaceas. And this is, I guess, the Hutch's point, that if only we do this, right? If only we just charge them with some random offense where it's going to like probably fail if it's just like a protectual thing with no basis. If only we were to invoke Section 3, it would protect us. If only, and there's no like one size fits all pill to protect democracy in that. And the sort of suggestions that I've heard from what, I don't know, the Doomer or however you want to associate these arguments, that those suggestions to me, I don't think solve the underlying problem, which is we have allowed demagogues to take hold of a huge part of our population. And there are some things that we can do on the margin and structurally to protect against that. But we need to be better about communication and producing results, like IRI is saying. It's an everyday thing. We need to defend our democracy and always be vigilant. We're never going to be able to rest and be like, everything is good. Like, we're always going to have to be defending this.
Yeah. I mean, but I feel like every generation has gone through some kind of existential threat to the American Republic. Like, this is not the first time that we have been tested, I would say, existentially. I would say this is like the worst it's gotten in decades. But that's just a function of democracy. Like, you could technically, quote unquote, like fix these problems if you just get super authoritarian and, like brutally suppress your political opposition who may or may not be backsliding into some kind of authoritarian.
Why do you have to get authoritarian to say Trump broke the ECA to try to steal the election? We should prosecute and throw him in jail for that.
Well, if there's a legal process that you can go after Trump, then you should do that.
Or and we didn't do it fast enough, and he got away with it. And that was the Supreme Court immunity ruling. But we absolutely could have put him in jail for that legally, not like some weird authoritarian crap.
What do you mean by we? I don't know what you mean by that.
Democrats, when Joe Biden was in office.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not that the DOJ, it's not that the process wasn't working. It was. He was convicted of over 30 felonies, and he was facing down dozens more felonies that he would have been found guilty for. The issue there was that Merrick Garland waited too long, and the voters made a bad decision after 2 years of inflation.
Right,
and
now,
but you realize you're kind of you're saying the quiet part out loud, right? You're buying the MAGA framing. Soy Pill is like what you're suggesting is Democrats should have imprisoned him. That's presupposing that Democrats were in charge and running these criminal investigations, as opposed to what I hope we all agree on.
Not as a partisan thing, but the DOJ should have gone after him for breaking the law.
They did.
Democracy. Not to the extent that they should have. He should be. I think if they had done this and with immediate, not hesitancy. What's the fucking expediency?
But that's a different argument. That's a different argument.
I mean, I have responses to that, and
you're saying that they should have gone faster, but they did. But they did. The system did go after him, and he was facing down several dozen felonies, and
then I think the system has failed insofar as he can absolutely try this again with clearly little to no consequence.
Well,
the system has failed in a way.
The system failed.
Well, the system has failed in a way. I think that the Supreme Court decision on immunity is a failure of the system, and it's a total betrayal of the Constitution. And there are aspects of that. The fact that we, and not just that decision, the Anderson decision, almost worse. The section, basically editing out Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Those were insane decisions, and it shows that there's something needed reform in our judiciary. That's my opinion for sure, 100%. I'm not going to say there's no system failures here, but the system failures fall on every level. They fall on Congress for not convicting him for impeachable acts. They fall on Joe Biden somewhat for choosing to run again and putting us in a horrible situation. They fall on Republicans for falling to this, and they fall on the American people who need to assume some responsibility as well. The American people voted for this guy, and I'm not one of these people who's just going to say that the American people don't deserve, or are somehow innocent in all this. In some ways, right? Like, we're facing this pain collectively because we made this shitty decision collectively as a whole, and now we're paying the price, and we have to clean up our mess. And so that's
my question is, if he is not disincentivized from ever doing this again with legal consequences, which is what's happening now, and this does happen in such a way that we aren't able to stop it. What is to say that this is not going to just keep happening over and over? How do we stop someone from trying to steal and subvert democracy every single time? And like you said, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. Like, this is like the Bush thing. I thought was going to be the worst thing ever, where it's like, hey, this seems like a corrupt governor of Florida who's brothers with the guy running might have stolen this state. And he said, let's come together and get over this. And I want to keep democracy together. But now it's, hey, I tried to steal the 2020 election and I'm able to run again and win. And what's to stop him from doing this again in 2028, 2032? Like,
I mean, I find this argument frustrating on a couple different levels. Number one, first of all, just before I even get into those, I've always said my position is, and always has been, if there's an avenue to charge this man for crimes and he's not shielded by immunity and the pardon, fucking do it.
100%.
Like,
yeah, but what if there's not?
Obviously do it. But hear me out on this one, okay? I think there's two problems with what you're saying, okay? You're kind of coming at me with this urgency where if Donald Trump and his cabinet don't go to prison, then there's nothing to stop the next, tyrant from coming in and being super corrupt. There's two problems with that, okay? Number one, that situation doesn't insulate us from that danger ever again, okay? We could do that, and then 4 years later, there's a Great Depression, and then at that point, the American people elect another con man, okay? So this is not like some permanent safeguard. But the other thing is, like, if there are limitations on what DOJ can do, like if he pardons himself and his cabinet and it's decided by the courts that that's valid and the DOJ's hands are tied, then I lost my train of thought.
No, I see what you're saying, where it's like, okay, then what? Like, okay, if he can just like find some way to weasel his way out of this, which, let's see Donald Trump weasel his way out of this one. This time we surely got him. Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, wait, I just remembered. Wait, hang on.
Make it more extreme, Hutch.
I just remembered.
What if Donald Trump ran on this?
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Let me finish. Hold on. Okay, so the idea is like, well, if you don't punish him, then even if you do reforms, the next person's just going to break the reforms because they don't care, right? But this is an argument against like how the system has developed for hundreds of years. Okay, so we've had crimes that were not crimes before, and then people did those crimes, and then we made them crimes through statutes by passing.
But they already
laws.
were crimes. The crime was the Electoral Count Act, and you can't put false electors. It wasn't like, oh, this was some novel idea to try to like do something to like sneak in some second candidate. This was, I'm breaking the law to try to subvert democracy, so that some new rule isn't going to stop him.
But he was
the only thing that's going to stop him if we actually disincentivize these people from ever trying again, which is, hey, next time you do this, you don't get to be president the next election. You're in jail for the rest of your fucking life.
Okay, but I don't understand how that guarantees us that Trump...
It doesn't guarantee it, but it's absolutely better than, hey, there are zero consequences, and in fact, you get to win next time.
Okay, but what do you
think Hutch's claim is? I mean, like, so let's just
Hutch's
sort out what the claims are.
The guardrails will just hold. First of all, the guardrails barely held insofar as stopping him from doing this, because I think that the vice president, given the fact that the current vice president said, I would have made the other decision. Huh?
I don't think they barely held.
They held.
I don't think they barely held. He only had the support of two senators. It was fucking Hawley and Cruz. Those are the only two senators that were willing to entertain this.
When I say barely, I don't mean like, oh, we were seconds away from losing democracy completely. What I'm saying is like,
there was an intolerable risk. So let's just be specific. There was an intolerable risk.
It's like if it was a 1 in 100 chance that he was going to succeed there.
That's way too. That's like 1% that we lose democracy.
We don't try this.
Let's just be clear about that. Right. So we all agree on that. All right. So there's no disagreement. Let's get to the actual disagreement. So do you think that Hutch thinks that there was no risk whatsoever? Do you think that that's what Hutch is saying? Because I don't hear that
this
from him.
Like, oh, it'll be fine next time because look how unpopular it is, and we're going to win the next election is kind of during the.
Do you think that Hutch says it's fine? All right, so that's the question. Like, what do you think Hutch thinks it's fine, or is how he's saying it? He thinks it's no big deal.
People need to be in jail, whether through the current system, which seems to be failing us, and what I would call a constitutional crisis, because the checks and balances that supposedly are supposed to make sure that no one does some weird dictatorial thing are allowing that to happen.
Wait, Hutch wants them in jail. So let's just be clear.
So
he wants them in jail. So we're only dealing with a situation in which
I think because Hutch has expressed distaste in the past for saying we need extrajudicial means, because obviously this is going to fuck our democracy.
So like illegal stuff, right?
Well,
illegal stuff.
I think if the system fails you insofar as this, I think that you should maybe pursue different means to put these people in jail.
Illegal things.
Yes. Well, here, let me.
You're asking for things that go beyond what Trump
I'm going to let me test this in the most absurd claim, Hutch.
Okay.
If Donald Trump said, and he could do this, there's no check and balance on this. If he really wanted to fucking do something crazy, like I'm going to nuke California day one when I get in, would you say that we should use a legal means to stop him?
If I literally thought that he was going to nuke California, then we're off to the races.
Some amount of harm. Some amount of harm, everyone is going to shift on it. Right? Illegal things. Illegal things are sometimes justified.
Illegal things are sometimes justified, and I think
what Hutch is saying here clearly,
even in a 1 in 100 chance to try to steal an election and to steal democracy, I think you need to.
Well, let's clarify. Hold on, let's clarify what you're saying, because like, are you saying if Newsom is inaugurated in 2029? What should he do? What extrajudicial thing do you think would?
Yeah, if the DOJ is like, we're not going to prosecute, or oh, hey, the Supreme Court like says, hey, no, this is immunity, he's totally allowed to do that. I say pack the courts. I say find a way to do that. Like, whatever that looks like.
But hang on, but Hutch supports adding justices to the Supreme Court.
Do you?
I mean, I would not be principally opposed to it. I mean, there's other things that I would do first.
Oh, I thought I heard you say that you were in favor of that.
But I'm also asking for plausible things, okay? Because it's not some easy thing for President Newsom to just add Supreme Court justices. You have to go through a process.
Ben Riley, and now we're getting back to this.
He's wrong.
Well, no. So Article 3 says the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court. No number is specified. Congress determines the size of the court by statute. The size of the court is set by the Judiciary Act of 1869.
Yes.
And so they could, with a simple majority, do another statute. No,
there's a filibuster.
Assuming they got rid of the filibuster.
Why does the filibuster need to happen for a statute that is not a bill?
Because it's a piece of legislation like reconciliation, the things that you can pass with a simple majority. There's a set of criteria that needs to be met. Like, so they can't have like a permanent impact on our budget. Is like the big thing.
But a budget is not a statute, right? This is a bill that needs to go through Congress, right? My understanding is this is a congressional rule based on Article 3.
Google it.
I did. That's what I'm reading. It's Article 3. Article 3 is not you need a majority to pass it. No.
We have a thing in the Senate called the filibuster.
I'm aware of what the filibuster is.
There's a Senate rule, right? So Article 1 gives the authority of the Senate and the respective houses of Congress to set rules of proceedings. And so in order to pass a law, a statute, which is what Ben Riley is referring to, you need to pass the same language in two different branches of Congress using the rules of the respective chambers. And so obviously, in order to pass a rule in one chamber, it needs to be done pursuant to the rules of the chamber that are set by the body. So all Hutch is saying is, under current Senate rules, this would require 60 votes, or you would need to change the rules.
Why did the Senate rules dictate whether or not Congress has the Article 3 authority to pass the number of Supreme Court justices?
Because those are the rules.
We all agree that Congress could do this. Right. The Senate is limiting itself. The Senate is saying, no. We're going to choose not to do this, but we have the power to. They could if they wanted to. They have the legal authority to, but they're limiting themselves with their rules and procedures, including the filibuster. Yes, Congress can set additional justices. They could delete all the lower federal courts. That's the Madisonian Compromise. Article 3 doesn't just say invest in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. So yes, Congress has the power, both under Article 1 and that reference in Article 3, to adjust the size of the courts, adjust the size of the Supreme Court, that they can't get rid of the Chief Justice. That's all there. But the Senate is saying, hey, before we pass certain kinds of bills, we are going to require a 60-vote threshold. That's called the filibuster rule. And there's nothing inconsistent with that reading of the Senate rules in Article 3 or Article 1. It's just not understanding Hutch's point.
I'll research this in a second when you guys are talking back and forth. But just to be clear, because Hutch, you're bouncing back between two things, right? You're saying, one, I would not support an illegal mean, right? Like, I think you're kind of on that principle. You don't think we should do this, yes?
Yes, I don't think we should.
Okay, but then you say, but then what do we do?
Yeah.
And what I'm confused about is if you're against it in principle, you're like, well, if it's not realistic, I don't care. But you're against it in principle anyway, right? Like, even if it was realistic, if there was an illegal thing we could do to stop Trump. What? If there was an extra legal thing we could do to stop Trump or put him in jail, you would be opposed to it regardless of how feasible it would be, right?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to be clear, there is an amount of harm that he could do where you would be okay with it, right?
Yes.
Nuking the world.
In the world where he wants to
and let's be honest.
Crazy,
wait, Soypil, let's be honest. If they actually, let's say that J.D. Vance attempts to actually steal the election from a Democrat, at that situation, we are in an existential mode. I mean, that is an existential situation. If there actually is an effort to steal a clearly, a lawful election.
What do you mean? What do you mean if? This already happened.
No. He's saying if he pulls it off. Like if he actually pulls it off.
If they pull it off, if we think that there's a good chance, so we should be able to resist the barbarians who are trying to steal our elections, 100%. I mean, that's correct. And the closer we are to that existential moment, the more justified other means are going to take. But the point that Hutch is responding to is imagining a situation in which Democrats retake control, right? The Democrats are now in power, and you're going to have to argue that the same kind of existential stakes applied to a theft of election are applied to punishing those who tried to steal an election. The argument is,
obviously, if Democrats are in power and we have a majority and we do what Hutch is predicting is going to happen in the midterm and we win the 2028 election, we don't need it that moment. I agree. Obviously, that is not the moment to pursue some crazy fucking like, oh, we need to like prosecute these people. Oh, we need to do some extrajudicial crap, because they have even less power, right? My problem is, if we rest on our laurels of, well, we won this time, we got the majority this time, and we just keep letting them do this, how many 1 in 100 chances of they're about to steal the election do we let them get away with?
Straw man of Hutch. Hutch isn't just saying let him do whatever, bro. He's responding to a very specific set of proposals. When I say specific, I just mean in one respect, which is do fucky shit that's illegal. And that, unfortunately, I think isn't going to reach his threshold of imminent harm to justify breaking our oath to the Constitution, right? Can
I put a hypothetical that I think is very plausible, and tell me if you agree that this is plausible? Okay, so Newsom is inaugurated and he does some extrajudicial fuckery. The courts tell him no. He says get fucked, and Donald Trump is in prison. Okay, at that point, if the public turns on the Democratic Party, which I think they would, because that's way further. That's way further than anything Trump has even done. Do you understand that? That's Trump way further than anything.
Execution of sitting politicians.
He has not, like, for example, he has sicked DOJ on Comey.
He's trying to. He's just not getting away with it.
Let me finish. He has sicked DOJ on like Letitia James and Comey and a bunch of other people. He's getting laughed out of court. He's not telling like federal law enforcement to just arrest him and throw him in prison anyways.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting just arrest him and throw him in prison.
Okay,
like,
but
just to do it.
Hold on,
right?
let me get through the hypothetical. Okay, so let's say the public turns on you. Okay, and we're looking at the polls, and it looks like we're going to get fucking absolutely decimated in the midterms. Well, at that point, you've already broken the law to spare the country from the danger of Donald Trump. Couldn't you then just justify just canceling the elections or trying to cancel the elections?
At that point, we're just at the Democrat dictator, which I don't agree with. But I don't agree with this hypothetical, because I don't think that the public just massively turns on us because we go after someone that everyone knows is this corrupt person, and everyone's screaming, at least on our side, hey, why the fuck is this guy allowed to do this over and over and over again with zero repercussions?
Here's the question that you're gonna. I think you're gonna get fucked on this, Soy Pill, and so I'm not gonna push. Actually, I will push the answer.
Push me, fuck me.
Knowing everything you know now, everything you know now. Would it be morally justified to do voter fraud in 2024 to prevent what happened?
No, I don't think it's that severe.
Okay, I mean, that's the response really to Hutch. What Hutch is saying is, if there really is,
I think us stealing an election is as bad as them stealing an election. So it's not fire with fire sort of situation. If I knew for a fact they were guaranteed to succeed in stealing an election, I would say yes, it would be justified.
Right, but in the same way that like maybe doing a revolution might be justified if they steal an election in response to that specific thing. But the point is, there are some
lines. In response, why is it that they can try everything up to the election to try to steal it?
Try. When you say they can try, you mean I would think it's okay that they try?
If they close down half of every polling station, would you say, hey, this is justification for us to do something that the system doesn't allow us to do to stop them from doing this?
That would be time to like shut it all down.
I think that there would be I think there would be an exhaustion principle that I would apply before, like. And I think Hutch and I agree with this, that you have to exhaust the peaceful legal remedies.
I agree.
Before we're gonna so there's a set of exhaustion criteria. No.
What have we not exhausted before Trump got elected in 2024?
In the situation in which we're under a Trump regime, or in the situation in which Democrats take power?
The reality right now. What have we not exhausted?
Yeah, so our protests have not reached the level of general strikes. Our protests have not been so wide, and there have been great examples of like targeted action. Minnesota, no kings, specific stands that Democrats are taking, whatever, right? Those are, but like we haven't even like the range of peaceful options available to people to resist like illegal shit. We haven't fully explored that.
I mean, theoretically, you could always do more, but there have been more protests this term than the second term. I think it's like the vast majority of the top 10 biggest protests that have ever taken place in this country have happened during Trump's presidency. So like the people are engaged. The people are, taking action to demonstrate their disapproval of this administration. But Soy Pill, I mean, like if you say it's not Newsom, ignoring the courts and just keeping Trump in prison. So like, what are you talking about?
What would I need to say that would satisfy you?
No, I'm just asking you, because you're
asking
saying
you what criteria could I explore where you wouldn't say that's not feasible? Because otherwise, there's no point in discussing it, because you think there's no reality in which this is ever going to happen. So there's no point in me trying to present a hypothetical.
But
if that's the case,
you're saying there's a hypothetical thing that Newsom could do extrajudicially or extra legally to address Trump. And I take address to mean like punish him, put him in jail, right? So what are we talking about here?
Right. So when I say
feasibility is a necessary condition here, like we're going to want to know that it'll work.
I think it's possible for us to expand the Supreme Court, and you say that would be really hard, and I say sure.
Expanding the Supreme Court is not extra legal, though. That's not. That's
that's different. That's
okay.
That's different.
But
that's like sort of saying
then that is a situation in which I'm saying, well, let's do that first. If that's a legal option for us to do,
you can push for it. I mean, listen, you can push for that. That's going to be really difficult. I mean, FDR couldn't get it done when he had like 80% of the Congress. But I mean,
okay, but this is where you have to give a little Hutch. We have to be more fucking ambitious. I mean, I understand that like we're aligned here, but like you're just we need big ideas, and we do need to like be a little ambitious and just being like, okay, whatever, we're gonna win. Like I understand that you're not saying everything that they're saying you're saying, but the kind of demeanor about it, it's like, oh, it's all chill, bro. Like that's the demeanor they're getting. So clearly there's a failure of communication.
You just said a moment ago that feasibility is a requisite to like
absolutely
option, right?
I don't think it's infeasible to get a bare majority in the Senate, a bare majority in the House of Representatives, kill the fucking filibuster, and expand the court. I don't think that's infeasible. I think that's feasible.
I mean, I disagree, but I mean, I'm not saying don't try, or if there's an avenue to do that, go for it. You know, we don't know. I mean, maybe honestly, yes. It's getting more and more possible by the day. I'll put it that way, because we are cruising towards a fucking bloodbath in November. And if this presidency continues as it has been for the last year, and I think it will, Donald Trump is incompetent. He's staffed his cabinet with incompetent people, with sycophants who don't give a shit about like competent governance. It's kind of a predictable path we're on. He's going to continue to be,
of it, and he's going to do irreparable damage.
Well, what do you want me to do about that?
What do you want me to do about that? Wait. So
because of the lack of
right?
consequences of this, it's like, all right, cool. He's going to lose. We're going to fucking kill them in the midterms. We're going to fucking kill them in 2032. Awesome, great. The damage is fucking done.
What do you want?
For decades.
Well,
Supreme Court justices
elections
for 30, 40 years. Like the trust, intelligence sharing just depleted completely. Trade agreements, fucking botched.
I get it.
That's the problem.
Hutch agrees with all that.
Elections
I know, and it's like the idea that like
it
sounds to me that it's like, well, it's okay because we'll be able to reverse so much of this. Like, no, it's not okay.
No,
this should never have been able to get.
Hutch isn't saying it's okay.
Hold on, let me. Like what really frustrates me is because I tell you that number one, the idea might be incredibly stupid. Like acting outside of the Constitution is just a non-starter. I don't understand why anyone.
Why got Trump elected? He did it like a billion times.
Because,
why is this like,
because it's really valuable. Because
so.
like what makes us different than fucking China or Trump at that point if we're just gonna like forsake our oaths of the Constitution when it's not strictly speaking necessary, and it's not strictly necessary right now. That's what Hutch is getting at. And now I think that Hutch would agree
to do this right this second. We're bouncing between a couple arguments that I'm making. Obviously, I think we should do every possible option before we get to this point. Obviously, because what the fuck would the point be? Why not just become a dictatorship if you're going to say it's this or nothing? If it was a trolley problem, I acknowledge that, but I'm also taking malice to the idea that we should never, ever, ever potentially pursue something extrajudicial.
Hold on. Let me get in here for the love of God, please. So elections have consequences. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people in America who agree with Trump and the stupid bullshit he's doing. And they don't give a fuck about our alliances. They don't care about the Department of Education being permanently damaged. They don't care. And he won the election, so he gets to execute this. But the point, I think what Hutch is saying is we will have a chance to win and rebuild and reshape things the way we want. There's nothing we can do about what he's doing right now, man. What can we do? And so what we need to focus on is winning and using this to show people the flaws in our system and our solutions. We have solutions.
I think, Soypill, you and people that are like you making the same arguments, you take me saying, I think that idea is either stupid or totally implausible, and you hear that, and in your mind you translate that to
be a pussy.
I don't think it's that bad. Or
combining that with your unmitigated optimism for that we are going to.
I don't have unmitigated optimism.
I'm telling you how it comes across. It might not be the case. I'm just telling you.
No, it comes.
Talk about this. It's like,
I'm not saying that we are permanently going to be fine. I've never said that. I've said the opposite, bro. I've said this is going to be something that we need to be engaged with and vigilant about for possibly like years. That's fucking democracy.
Yeah.
That's the job. You know what I mean? I've never said
we have to fight against this for years. It might be we don't get the option to because they finally found a way to sneak in and steal democracy away.
But you're suggesting that we do possibly extra legal things to preempt that from happening.
Yes.
And I don't think, number one, I don't think you think about the plausibility of the shit that you say. And number two, I don't think you consider the possibility that the public might view that us just like violating the Constitution as totally fucked, which might empower the Republicans. And at that point, if you've already gotten rid of
why would the public
fundamental guardrails
who is against Donald Trump, especially for his extrajudicial things,
they
say, oh, well, Democrats did one thing to stop him from doing it. Now I'll vote for the Republicans.
You're saying violate the Constitution in a way that even Trump hasn't done.
No, he's trying to. He hasn't succeeded in the doing.
I think Trump did some things that are worse. I think that illegally rendering people to torture dungeons without any due process of law, like I might even prefer some political person to be arrested for
no.
And Hutch, what is your line? Because obviously the absurd, like, yeah, we need a revolution if he was going to do California. That is absurd. What's your line? Like, what would Trump need to do? What would he need to attempt for you to say, oh shit, this is the system's not working. We can't work within the system.
He can attempt to do things, but if he's constrained by the system, that is a testament to our system. And
we should preserve every single
system.
midterm election, and there was a 50-50 shot he was going to get away with it and potentially ruin all future elections. You'd say, don't do anything extrajudicial until
at that point. Well, we're out of power at this point. So at that point, it's up to the people to shut it all down, like take to the streets, mass strike, mass disruption. Yeah, of course.
But that would be a revolution, right?
Not necessarily. That would be a revolt, right? Like, know.
But this with violence would probably be involved here, no?
I mean, that's not necessarily ideal, but I'm sure it would probably happen.
I'm not saying it's ideal. What I'm saying is, what would he need to do? What would he need to attempt? Where before you say, okay, now we got to reassess this.
But you're not talking about attempting to do things as Newsom. You're saying he just assert powers and just.
I'm saying he should attempt to do them. If he isn't able to do that, oh well. Like, I'm not trying to Green Lantern. It's just like he's gonna do it no matter what. It's like we should be exhausting every possible option. Do you think we have exhausted every possible option to throw Trump in jail right now?
There's legal option. Again, I take umbrage with the reframing, but
what I'm saying is, like, we are not going hard enough against people that are trying to steal democracy, right? We should exhaust every possible option we can. I'm not saying just jump to extrajudicial.
He was indicted in 4 different jurisdictions. He was indicted in 4 different jurisdictions. He was sued into oblivion.
Crazy. Did it stop literally anything?
You can thank the fucking voters for that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, if the voters are on board with fascism, I guess, well, there's nothing we can do about it, right?
Well, doesn't this prove my point? I mean, like, the fact that he was reelected after he did January 6th and after he was found guilty of multiple felonies, after he was facing more court proceedings, they gave him a popular vote victory. And you're not even entertaining the possibility that Newsom, if he were to jump over your line of just like, let's ignore the Constitution, you just think that like the public's going to be behind this. And I don't know what that is based on.
Weaponized the DOJ. Those are the people that voted for Trump. If they actually weaponize the DOJ, which I'm not suggesting they do yet, like I said, let's exhaust everything first. But let's say we did get to that point. What would that change about the electorate?
I don't even understand what you're advocating for, Soypoo. What is not being done to put Trump in prison?
Well, he's not in prison right now, right?
What are you advocating to be done to put him in
post-Democrat in the post-Trump?
No, right now. No, not even right now. Right now. He's talking about right now.
No, right now I don't know if there's anything we can do about it.
Okay, so then the only thing we can do is win an election and investigate and then charge him, which we will.
Right.
And so why? I don't understand the complaint because obviously,
I'm not complaining about what we're doing.
I'm pushing back and I'm saying, I guess I'm trying to prepare people for the possibility that the next DOJ might be constrained by the pardon and immunity.
Yeah,
and if that happens,
that's not just
Trump's going to pardon everybody.
That's just possible. I'm not saying.
Why do you even have to warn people?
Sure.
Yes. He's going to pardon himself and everybody.
A legal means by abolishing certain pardons as illegitimate, given the.
How do you do that?
We can try.
I'm not saying.
So we can try to do that. I'll spell it out. This is what we should be.
I don't know for sure.
Let's just be concrete about it. Let's just actually give the actual examples. So number one, pursue state charges. That's something that we should all strive to do, and we should advocate for our state law enforcement to go after, to the extent that it's not covered by a pardon. They're going to have to face the immunity doctrine with some respect. That should be overturned. We should pack the courts, in my opinion. That's what we should do. All right, that's number one. Number two, you should enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. This has been my idea now for months. You should try to apply it retroactively. I don't think it's unconstitutionally inherently to do so, and declare that Trump never occupied the office of legally occupied the office of president for his second term, that he was not lawfully in office, and that all of his actions are null and void. That almost certainly will lose in the courts because of this thing called the de facto officer doctrine. But I would be okay with Democrats trying that, because I think it's legal. I think it's based.
Wait. So I agree with all of this.
It's likely going to fail. And so the question is, what other than that, right? Should we, for example, after our attempts to invalidate through legal processes the pardons, should they fail, as they almost certainly will, what do you propose that would be a good idea that Hutch isn't on board with? That's what I'm looking for.
Do you think that if we were in power, we could nuke the filibuster and impeach some of the justices?
No. The filibuster has nothing to do with impeachment. Impeachment is
don't you need 60 votes?
You don't need 67.
You need 67.
Sorry, not the filibuster. Yeah. Okay. Do you think maybe
theoretically possible? But
no, I wouldn't support impeaching the justices, because I don't think that,
for example, like
Alito,
so like having a wife that participated in like
I don't think that's a high crime or misdemeanor. So I would be against an impeachment of Samuel Alito on that ground. I swore an oath to the Constitution.
I didn't say a crime, but don't you think not removing yourself
the standard
from
for impeachment,
rulings, including the immunity thing, is a dereliction of duty?
It's not a high crime or misdemeanor. No, it's not a high crime or misdemeanor. It has to be
a crime or misdemeanor.
A high crime or misdemeanor. It's a term of art in the impeachment clause. And if I don't think it's a high crime or misdemeanor, I am not going to say that he should be impeached. Now, there are things I'll do to the court. I might expand the court. I might
educate me on this. Wait. Educate me on this, Pisco. So we probably, because again, everyone here agrees on like what the Trump admin is doing wrong. You and I agree. Yeah. Alito did not recuse himself from certain cases that he should have, given his connections to his wife and her connections to January 6th, right?
I don't think that the recusal was necessary under the ethics rules.
Really?
I agree with Alito's argument there.
Okay, I guess we don't agree.
Because I'm not a hack. I know people are going to be like, oh my God, Pisco's a MAGA hack. He's a MAGA. He's a tanky, and he doesn't think Trump's that bad. But guess what? It's called having principles. I wouldn't impeach Samuel Alito on the basis of that. Women are not the chattel of their husband. I actually believe that just because your wife says something,
participated in something that you're ruling on whether or not someone is innocent or immune from, are you not directly fucking involved in that to an extent?
From a human personal connection, people can expect, yes, but one of the things that we have to allow for in this country is for wives to not just be an extension of their husbands in that respect.
It's not a wife. Now, it's the person I'm tied to legally and I love. I'm not going to potentially implicate them when I rule on this. I think that's a huge conflict of interest.
So if Sonia Sotomayor was married to someone who was a prosecutor, going after the Jan 6 people, she should recuse herself on the immunity decision. I just want to hear you say that.
Yeah.
No, you don't believe that.
Well, what do you mean? I just said it.
This is if a conservative tried to come up here and say, well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg met with Obama and therefore she can't rule on what Obama says.
If Ruth Bader Ginsburg's husband was like Obama's personal assistant, yeah, that might be a little conflict of interest. Yeah.
I don't think that for me, it doesn't rise to conflict of interest. And even a conflict of interest, I'm not even going to grant that a conflict of interest necessarily constitutes a high crime or misdemeanor, such that I would want to impeach them. There are other things I would do that I don't take to be violations of the Constitution to adjust for the issue with the Supreme Court, namely the packing of the Supreme Court by Mitch McConnell, which I think is worse than legislation that Democrats could propose to unpack it. So I would support that, and it would achieve the outcome that you want. There are some lines, and one of them is the Constitution. And unless there is an existential question, which this particular action contemplated resolves, I'm not going to be in support of violating the Constitution. It needs to be existential. And afterwards punishment for deterrence purposes of these insurrectionists, I believe that the actions they took was, in that moment, it was existential, no doubt. Do I think that the after deterrence, such that we should violate the Constitution, like punishing them, is existential in the same way? No, I don't.
That's worst case scenario if every single legal option is exhausted. And it's clear that we've discussed things that might be improbable, might be hard, right? That are still legal that we could pursue. And I guess the really big disagreement here is that you guys are not okay with a preemptive version of this, but you are okay with a post version of this, right? Everyone here is like, okay, if Trump said, I'm going to nuke California and he steals the election, we would all be okay with a revolution. We would all be okay with some sort of coup to stop this from happening. But if he says
that actually addresses the existential nature of what's going on, right? Like, I think that it's a high priority for us to punish and have accountability and payback. No doubt about that. Don't get me wrong. But the deterrent effect here,
not revenge. I don't want revenge.
No, okay. I'm trying to give you what you want. I think it's a big, significant responsibility of the next administration to punish and deter future law breaking. But it's not the same to say an action that's tailored, an imminent action that's tailored to prevent and will have a high degree potentiality of preventing this imminent collapse, like in the case where Trump is successfully couping the government or he's nuking something, right? Then the force coming in to resolve it, that actually will be tailored towards ending it. But this kind of deterrent effect, number one, these people aren't in the habit of being fucking deterred. All right, that's Hutch's point. Number one is you're not going to deter these psychopaths.
Can't deter Trump people with a law. They should be in jail. But you could deter future people from trying it.
Wait. Hold on. I want to jump in here. Okay. You understand that we have had things in this country that were not crimes, and then people would abuse power, and there were corrupt influence in politics, and then we passed laws, we codified reforms.
Why are we going back to this? Hang on. They don't care about the law. They violated the law to do what I'm talking about, right?
Soy pill. I'm not talking about retro. I'm saying the times in the past that we've done this, we didn't retroactively like charge people with those crimes, right?
No.
In Nuremberg, we did.
Okay. So, well, Nuremberg is, I mean, Nuremberg is a little different, but like we didn't retroactively punish those people, but you're suggesting that us doing those reforms and adding new laws and criminalizing certain things for future violators is pointless.
No, I'm saying it's pointless against the Trump people.
Well, by the time he's out of office, he will have already left office, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
this is not a just him thing. It's this whole admin tried to participate and was complicit in this, right?
This is not popular to say, but everybody needs to start accepting these guys are going to get away with it, and we're not going to punish them. They're going to pardon everybody. We might be able to go for some state charge. You need to accept that. You need to get over it. And what we can do is pass laws. No, you have to. The sooner you do, the sooner you move on. They got away with it. They're going to rob the place blind. They're going to do everything they want. The only thing we can do is change the laws and shore up our system to prevent it from happening in the future. So the pardon power, we can make that come from a committee. The president can't just pardon anybody. He already lost his power to enact tariffs to extort the whole world. This is all we can do. I knew as soon as Trump won in November, they're going to rob the place blind. Yes. No one's ever going to be held accountable.
Indictments. This was all known.
Ever going to be held accountable.
Okay.
And just to be
let's
just to be calibrated. Hang on a second. Wait. Last point. I promise. If we can't reach your heart, let us reach your head. These attempts won't be successful. They're not going to be successful. Like, the Supreme Court in this context isn't just going to let you arrest a person on nothing, or if there's a valid pardon. Okay.
I also want to point out that conservatives in this country have been programmed for decades with conservative talk radio, Fox News, and now alternative media. There's a sizable chunk of the country that think that the Democrats are, anything ranging from like sleeper cell Al-Qaeda, terrorists to, godless communists that want to end democracy and the nuclear family and destroy God and religion and all these kinds of things. It's, of course, nonsense, but there's a lot of people that really believe that. So much so that we've seen people plot to kidnap Whitmer. We've seen somebody murder 2 lawmakers in Minnesota. We saw January 6th, obviously, the guy who set the pipe bombs at the Capitol. Turns out he was like, like a Trumpy guy that thought that we had stole the election. What do you think is going to happen if we extrajudicially punish Donald Trump? Do you not understand in that moment? Do you not understand at that moment it would explode in this country?
We did that, Hutch, with the 34 cases.
But you're not answering my question. You're not answering my question.
I am answering your question. No, they already think that. There's not what would happen if it already happened. And they think that Biden's DOJ was the thing that prosecuted him in New York. They already think this.
Could it get like 10, 100 times worse in terms of
in the same way that I could say, hey, Hutch, couldn't he have succeeded in stealing the election and shut down all the polling stations? Yes.
I should rephrase. Is there a significant risk that the political violence that we see would explode after doing this? Okay. Then we shouldn't do that then, right?
I think we should pursue every legal option first.
Yeah, we all agree. But wait, that's something we all agree on.
I don't think we're going hard. Well, we don't all agree because IRI saying nothing we do is going to even work, even if we did go.
No, he's saying try the state charges, try this, but on the big federal ticket stuff,
skeptical that it'll work.
They're going to pardon me.
What I'm saying is, I don't think we've gone even nearly hard enough as we could be. I think it should, even if it does look partisan, we should be going way harder than we are right now. I think that extrajudicial things are potentially
that's different. Wait, soy pill.
What?
That's different. The fact that we're not going hard enough, I agree with that. I think that we should be talking about enforcing Section 3. I think we should have charged the murderers of Alex Preddy and Renee Good yesterday with the power that we currently do have. I want our legislators to be talking about hauling people in and murder charges. I think they haven't been strong on rhetoric enough, but that's all within the framework that Hutch, IRI, and I are willing to say, yeah, be harder, be better, be ruthless, but don't violate the Constitution unless there's a really, 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 really insanely good reason, because the whole point of us doing this in the first place is to preserve the Constitution, right? That's the whole goal. And so unless
and that's why I asked, what level are you willing to violate it to stop someone who's already shown that they don't care and will violate it and literally say, I want to suspend it on day one? And the answer is none, then I think you're crazy. I think you're delusional.
No one's saying that. If I'm convinced that the action taken is A, has a decent chance of being successful, and B, relates to existential threat that is imminent, then yeah, I mean, then you're basically saying, do I take a gamer moment to preserve the whole republic? Maybe I would in that moment because the cost really is that high. But we're talking about a situation where Democrats have been ushered into power, and now we have to violate the Constitution, or we're being asked to violate the Constitution on a proposition where it's not clear. At least we can't predict with good certainty the way we would in the Jack Bauer scenarios. It's not clear that this is going to prevent the existential threat.
Here's my issue.
Hutch is giving you at least a plausible argument that it could make it worse.
It's an urgency because we all agree there are situations post any sort of like crazy fascist takeover that we'd be okay with, like violating Constitution, obviously. Yes. And so the idea it's like, oh, we're doing it preemptively, or we're going to win, so we don't have to. My question is, you can't see the lines of which they're attempting to do this the next time. They're laying the groundwork for this. We've allowed them to get away with it once. And so I don't think anyone could have said pre-2020, oh, yeah, there's a good chance that Trump's going to try to steal the election through violation of the Electoral Count Act through false electors. And even months afterwards, we didn't fully understand it, right? Like we had to fully like comprehend and investigate this shit. And the answer, what?
I understood it. I wrote a paper.
Okay, well, great. All right. So Mr. Legal Brain is very smart, and I get it. I'm a big dumb idiot. But us normies, like my problem is,
I didn't mean to come around like that.
We're waiting, and like the argument I hear here is that we have to be reactionary towards people that are trying to steal the country away and not preemptive. And I think this is like dangerous. I think it's overly optimistic.
No, within the bounds of the Constitution. That's yes, we should be proactive. We should change our structures. We should try to get justice. Absolutely, we should try to get justice. We should do it within the Constitution.
If IRI is correct, I hope he's wrong. I'm not saying you're like wrong, like morally, but like I hope you're wrong to say that he's going to get away with it. I hope he doesn't. But let's say he does, then what?
Well,
he's going to keep trying, and we just have to hope to God that we stop him every single time.
Yes, that's how our system works. O.J. Simpson got away with murder. Do we throw up our arms and put people in prison ahead of time, like pre-crime? I mean, what bad things happen.
But let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
Versus like if he succeeds and he gets away with it.
So Bill, let me ask you a question.
More democracy ever.
Let me ask you a question. Okay. I want you to flesh out the hypothetical, not in terms of the process. Okay. Let's just not even concern ourselves with the details. He finds some way extra outside the boundaries of the law and the Constitution to punish Donald Trump and throw him and his cabinet in prison.
Yeah.
What do you think the country looks like at that point? And how does that play out in terms of just like the public?
I don't know. If it's literally like, let's say it's like the worst example. It's just, I don't give a fuck what the court says. The Secret Service marches up to his mansion, grabs him and throws him in a gulag, right? Yeah, I think that starts a fucking civil war, probably. Yeah, that's awful. I don't think that's how this should be done, obviously.
Okay.
So if someone's like, whoa, I don't want to just execute him, you'd be like, pussy. What if it doesn't work? What if these...
Wait, do you hear me agreeing with you that we shouldn't do this?
I know, but the thing is like the style of argument that's being deployed...
I'm not calling anyone here a pussy, to be clear.
I know, okay, got it. I'm not referring to you specifically. Other people, the style of argument that I've heard against Hutch by these call-ins is like, what if that doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? And let's say that we get to a line where even like, you're like, okay, don't kill him unconstitutionally. And if someone was like, wait, you're saying that there shouldn't be justice for what happened? The response would be like, no, we think A, that tactic either is very unlikely to work, or B, that we're not in the same kind of existential moment as those Jack Bauer situations after the thing has already happened, as opposed to trying to prevent it. And so you wouldn't be a pussy for refusing to do that.
What's the probability? Well, actually, this is perfect because Josiah just sent a super big, giant $50 super. He says, I agree that Trump will almost certainly get away with it because of pardon power and immunity and SCOTUS, limited appetite for Democratic candidates. But I'd like each of you to tell me how this probability impacts your view of the USA, and then if at all. Like, I think there's like, I can't like literally assign a probability because I don't even know if they do try this again, how they would try it. I think there's like a good chance that this could work if they try this again. And that makes me, one, doom-pilled insofar as like, wow, we are on the precipice of like I view this the same as that Russian like nuclear like retaliatory strike guy who read the thing that the US was attacking and was like, oh, you know what? This might be a glitch, and decided not to fire nukes back. Thank God we didn't like end the world.
This is a trash super chat. It's a trash super chat.
I view it as like that's the potential danger that could be happening right now. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to like maybe deal with the consequence of like dealing with the electoral fallout of doing something extrajudicial, but not now,
because they can't contend because they can't contend with the argument of propose something that will fix the problem and will work and that's justified in light of the threat. It becomes like, oh, you're fine with them getting away with it. How does it make you view the USA? You think that's okay? And they just totally shift
this is
what the argument is about. It is Josiah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying like they, like this proverbial like idiot.
Yes, no. The super chat from Josiah epitomizes the kind of emotional thinking that I'm seeing from a lot of people, which is like when you say, no, this is actually like a dumb proposal because it's not going to work and because it's not justified to violate the Constitution in virtue of the threat. They'll be like, wait, so you're fine with them getting away with it? You're fine with them getting away? You don't think this is bad? You don't think this affects your view of the United States? And I'm just like, dude, that's not what we're talking about here. And I guess I'm being a little hard on Josiah, but it's just like, don't change it. The question is the specific proposal a good idea or not? And it's not a good idea to charge someone on a baseless offense that doesn't even exist when you know it's going to get thrown the fuck out of court and it's not going to resolve an existential problem. It just won't.
I'm with Guy in that, you know, my heartbreak and disappointment happened in November of 2024. And it lasted for like 2 to 4 to 5 months. It was pretty not great in my head, thinking about all the possible ways that we were kind of like going as a country. But as it pertains to the future, do I like the concept of him and his cabinet not being held accountable if they did crimes? Of course not. Of course I want that kind of justice. But I'm not going to let that destroy my optimism in America or my, belief that the system that we have, though flawed, is really fucking good in the totality of like human history and the types of systems that have existed before. Like there are problems with democracy. It can go sideways sometimes if the voters decide to elect someone like Donald Trump, and then he gets to do a lot of damage, and that's awful. And there's not really too much we can do about it right now.
Right.
But my mind just goes straight to what's the next best thing. We go to the midterms, we go to the 2028, and you pass reforms. That is how
you say all this stuff. This doesn't sound like you view this existentially. You view it as, yeah, sometimes things get shitty, like during segregation, we got to work our ways back out. But what I see this as is, this might be the end of democracy forever. He might gain potentially the power to stop us from ever winning any election again. I'm not saying this is very likely. I'm saying this is potential, and they want this. So how do we make sure this never happens? And is there a way to do this legally or extrajudicially even to stop them from acquiring these reins of power?
You can. This is a free society, and there's always creative people out there that'll find ways to abuse the rules. All we can do is deal with them and try to anticipate some things that could happen. We shored up the Electoral Count Act. So now the vice president plays a ministerial role. Everybody knows that. You need 20% of the House and the Senate instead of one person voicing their discontent in writing. So the point is, this can always happen, Soy Pill. There's always going to be a chance of this happening. But we have incompetent buffoons now who are trying it, who are going to fail miserably. And you just have to have faith that our system can address it moving forward and make the system better for the next generation.
Let me ask this. So we all know Trump violated law. They were pretty aware that what they were doing was illegal. However, they attempted to use some sort of precedent with Hawaii for the ECA violation, right? Or right now with the SAVE Act, or sorry, not with the SAVE Act, but with the Josiah wants to hop on if you guys are okay with this. But right now, Well, he has admin. He can just let himself
you're right.
in.
Jesiah pays for this. Jesiah pays for this fucking shit. Jesiah pays for this fucking shit. Jesiah can hop on whatever he goddamn well pleases.
I fucking knew it. Yo.
Yeah. Hey,
Pisco.
Can I finish asking my question? Because I'm curious. Like, it is probably not legal what Trump is doing with war in Iran, right? However, they're using the precedent that Obama set with the Libya, where they said, hey, like as long as it's not a war unless you can establish like nature and duration and like there's some other third precedent, and so long as like these three criteria aren't met, it's still a thing that he can decide without Congress. Like, I still think it's illegal, but technically you could pursue some legal way through the Constitution to justify this. Would you be okay with something along these sort of loopholey natures to prosecute once we've exhausted every single other option?
The point is that we have a girthy set of rules and constitutional rights in this country, and so it's not as simple as just like, let's just get creative. That's what Destiny was saying. Destiny was saying like,
hey, speaking of creative, I'd like to talk about Pisco's interpretation of my fucking super chat. For a guy who's a trained lawyer, apparently lost all reading comprehension, I think it was a perfectly valid fucking question. I too believe that Donald Trump and his ilk will get away with it because of the mass pardon. The Supreme Court hasn't tested self-pardons, but I have no reason to believe that they won't adopt the most maximal view. I actually agree with IRI and Hutch that this is almost fait accompli at this point, outside of, packing the Supreme Court, invalidating charges. Wait a minute.
Hey,
wait a minute. It's a perfectly valid question. So answer the fucking question. I know you surrender, bitch. Answer the question.
It would make me feel really sad about America. That's my answer to you, Jesiah. Is that the answer? It would make me feel really sad. Is that what you're asking, Jesiah?
No, I'm asking you just to answer honestly, Pisco. But we never know which Pisco we get, because the Pisco we get depends on if he's been bitched out by Steven at some point. Then he's got to overcompensate the next time we see him in public, because God forbid you don't want DGG on your ass. Yeah, fuck you, buddy. We're friends. Don't do this shit. Wow. Hey, don't do this. No, fuck you. Don't. No. This isn't funny. Don't do this shit. I asked you a perfectly valid question. So
it's a valid question. I'm like, listen,
you're goddamn right. Honesty, it is. You know it is.
In all honesty, I'm tongue in cheek, because I think that there is a valid concern regarding like the feeling of helplessness, the feeling that we need to do something else, and the vision of America that we thought was real. And I think that yours gets to the heart of it, but it's not what Hutch is talking about, because Hutch obviously agrees.
I'm not talking. This is what I mean. Soy Pill, can you pull up the fucking super chat? I didn't say anything about Hutch.
Chill.
I was agreeing with Hutch.
Dude,
I agree with Hutch and IRI that Trump is going to get away with it. This isn't a roundabout way to slam Hutch. If I want to slam Hutch, I'll do it directly. I agree with Hutch.
I'm surrendering you. God damn. I surrender. No, anyway. Because the reason I bring it up is because I see a bunch of comments directed to Hutch, which is like, Hutch, you don't think that Trump is that bad. You don't think that you were okay with this going on. You don't think that you think this is acceptable. I'm not saying you're doing it, Jesiah.
You did say I did it, asshole. You did.
I know, but I'm not saying right now as we're sitting here, and I wanted you to come on, to be honest. I'm being real.
Well, no, but the problem is, Pisco, look, let's jump back to a previous Hutch trolley problem, which I actually agree with him on, right? If the difference was Trump wins or not, and we have to elect a segregationist Dem to stop him, I would say, you know what? As much as that might fuck the party electorally in the future, that might be the thing we have to do. I agree. That could be a good solution.
Careful, you're going to get clipped.
I don't give a fuck. It makes sense. I would vote for Jeffrey Epstein over this one. I'll say I'll bite all the bullets, all right?
I'm not
Suddenly,
if Hutch thought it was necessary,
maybe we need to face electoral consequences from doing something extrajudicial to stop Trump. It's no, wait, we can never do that. That's
but Hutch didn't say you can never do it.
Okay,
like, how many times did it say if he thought it was necessary to preserve the republic, he would implement it? But he doesn't think it's likely to succeed, and he doesn't think it's necessary to preserve the republic.
Let me get at. Okay, let me get at what I think you're saying. I think you're saying that Donald Trump right now and potential Donald Trumps in the future represent such an existential threat that it would justify preemptively doing something extrajudicially. Okay,
that is what I'm saying.
To address that head on, like, yes, I think what is happening right now under this administration is a fucking nightmare in many ways. But when I look at the next 4 years, I think their movement is losing badly right now. And maybe he tries
I think
to
you're over optimistic about that. I really don't think this is just it's going to be gone in a couple 4 years. Like, we won the midterms. Oh, we did it. MAGA's gone. There's not a fucking big powder keg of the Tea Party that's been here for 30 fucking years.
You're not listening. I'm not saying that we're going to be permanently fine moving forward. but you do have to take things as they come. And like, sure, we could deal with these.
We don't have to take things as they come. We can get ahead of it so they can never do this shit again by putting them in jail.
We can't. We can't.
Again, like Donald Trump, like again, you're advocating for the next Dem president to go further than Donald Trump. Like Pisco says he agrees because of CCOT stuff, but Donald Trump, for example, has not ordered DOJ and federal law enforcement
to. He just keeps failing, right?
He has not ordered federal law enforcement to go arrest Barack Obama,
right?
Extradite. He is constrained by the system, Soy Pill, the very same system. You're saying that we should weaken. The next time we have. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'll let you finish. Go ahead. I just want to say something when you're done.
He is being constrained by the system in many, 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 many meaningful ways. Okay, Donald Trump is really bad. He's not a dictator. He has the support for the courts on a lot of stuff that we don't like. Okay, but he is still very much constrained. He cannot. He told DOJ to look into Barack Obama to like investigate for crimes. That is obviously not happening. Like he is constrained, and what you're suggesting that the next president do is just ignore those constraints, and then you don't even have the imagination to think.
What would the probability need to be
what the
that
fuck?
Donald Trump steals the next election for you to say we need to do it preemptively?
They're not going to. But look, we have Jessiah here. We have a special guest, so I want to ask Jessiah.
What's up, buddy?
Do you disagree with Hutch and I that it's all over? They're getting away with everything. It's all about what we can do moving forward to prevent this from happening again and to leave this a better place for the next group so something like this doesn't happen. I mean, I feel like that's all we can do.
I mean, I'm a cynic by nature, so my position's always been on balance of probability, they're probably going to get away with it. Again, for all the reasons that you all have articulated and that I articulated in that perfectly well-constructed super chat that some friends of mine. It's okay. It's all right. I'm not finding. I'm talking to somebody. I'm talking to a real one. I'm talking to IRI, my real one, my buddy. But at the same time, I mean, kidding aside, obviously, I still think that to the extent that there's any appetite among the Democrats, I mean, I will be voting for the Democrat who makes it very clear, either through a direct call or the more carefully hedged language that I know Hutch accepts, that they will try to seek accountability for the Trump administration. I just don't think it's going to work. But it does actually impact my view of this country. Like I think I told Hutch in one of the conversations we have, like, I'm not saying it's the point of no return, but once he pardons everybody out on his way out the door, I will accept that the United States is a democracy decline. I think that we are a backsliding democracy officially at that point. I think that will be like a major turn. I think
you're making a face. Like I know you this argument against lefties before. Like you agree to some extent, right?
You guys are basically making the same argument that Hassan's been making for years, which is that liberalism is not enough to stop, people from Donald Trump from taking over. That's what you're saying. You're saying the system that we have is not durable enough. And that, I know, Jessiah, you're not going there, but Soy Pill, you're making the case that we should move towards some more kind of authoritarian structure to deal with the immediate threat. Meanwhile, they're making the same arguments about us on the other side of things, right?
But the difference is they're actually doing it.
No, they're not. They are not doing what you're suggesting. What you're suggesting goes
when he
so far
passes a
beyond
tariff
what
that
they're
is
currently
illegal and he
doing.
knows is illegal and it is allowed to steal money from Americans for a year,
Hey,
and then
that
finally
just
when
got
they say,
overturned in the court, bro.
yeah, after a year of him getting away with it, and he's going to face no punishment, and
That's
he's going to
the
try
process.
again and again and again, and it's like, okay, well, the system's reined him in after him getting away with it and not facing any consequences and succeeding to an extent with his thing. So who fucking cares that the system fixed it, right?
Yeah, because like for example, Hutch, like one of the things, and I think this came up during one of your conversations. It might have been with Steven or with DGG, but I think somebody mentioned like when the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's student loan forgiveness, and Pisco can remind me here. Pisco, didn't they stay Biden's student loan forgiveness while they were considering, like he was not allowed to proceed with the program while they were contemplating in what was it called, Amilo, or what was it called, the Supreme Court case? In other words, he wasn't able to go through with that program, right?
Yeah, the student loan forgiveness, he was not able to.
But the tariffs weren't stayed, right? The Supreme Court allowed Trump to continue to implement his tariffs while, reviewing the decision.
Yeah, so the tariffs were collected while it was pending. Yeah,
right. So
the judiciary puts a thumb on the scale in favor of Trump.
Yeah. So I guess to your point, Yes. Did they strike down the tariff law? Yeah, but there's a question of whether or not that revenue will ever be refunded anywhere, if there are any sort of like recompense that to be made there. And number two, to Soypill's point, Trump was allowed to continue to implement for basically a year a flagrantly, obviously unconstitutional usurpation of congressional taxing power because the Supreme Court is so partisanly in favor of Trump. They finally, at the 11th hour, pulled the trigger on it, but they obviously they acted in ways which favored him, and so. But
Jessiah, you're suggesting that this action is somewhat comparable to Soypill's, or are you?
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is though, like when you just interjected that they struck down the tariffs thing. I don't think that's totally fair to say. Yes, they struck it down, but they did it in a way which allowed Trump to enact the power, even as they were considering shutting it down. Like it's clearly that they're. Go ahead.
I understand. Sorry, go ahead. Guy,
why does this permanently impact your view of America? This is a temporary thing that he was able to rob these businesses of money, and now it's been shot down. So that's my question.
It's not just the tariff. It's all of it together. To answer your question, it's not the tariff decision that impacts my view of the country. It's Trump collectively getting away, not just with egregiously unconstitutional actions, but also his attempt to steal the 2020 election, January 6th, things of that nature, the classified documents decision. It's all of it together. He will have effectively committed the quote unquote crime and gotten away with it. And yeah, that definitely impacts my view. He's not just some random criminal. He's the president of the United States twice. And to me, that's when you compare.
The issue might be that what Hutch is characterizing, that like Trump isn't doing something nearly as bad as it would be to charge Trump for a political offense for which there's no basis to charge him. I'm convinced it would be bad to do that and against the Constitution to charge Trump for a political offense for which there is no crime really. But I don't necessarily think that it would be I don't know if it would be worse than what he did with the people with Sukkot and the Alien Enemies Act, where you're like illegally rendering
the fact that he blew up a school in Iran, right? That's
wait. I just want to be clear about that.
What if we revoke his ability to do this with the law? Okay, well, we can't temporarily fix the fact that 100 little girls are dead, right?
175. You underestimate
things. And what I'm saying is like he's going to keep pushing and pushing against the Constitution.
Sure.
And
wait, Hutch. Let me go even further, right? Like I think this illegal war with Iran is worse than charging Trump from a structural perspective.
By work, you mean in terms of, I take
my intuition about the structural concern of our country. Like war for me is like eroding that aspect further in the way that Trump is doing it. I think the renditions to Sukkot are worse than charging for a political offense. I think that the wide scale of unconstitutionality, the First Amendment violations, all of that together is worse than charging these people with political offenses. So I don't think you have to go so far as to say what we'd be doing would be worse. I do think it's still unacceptable to do it. I agree with you there.
I mean, charging people with crimes, that's one thing. We're talking about going outside of the law and the Constitution and the courts
for political offenses.
You're saying that represents less of an existential threat to the fabric of the republic than Sukkot and bombing Iran?
Collectively, yes, yeah.
Hutch,
it's just because you think that war. I mean, do you think that war is like? So for you, like your structural liberal mind turns off when it comes to the declaration of war power, when it comes to illegal renditions without due process.
I'm thinking about things in terms of like what gets us closer to civil war. That's what I'm thinking, because that is what we're kind of getting at. That's the ultimate kind of like.
If I were making your argument right now, this is what I would say. I would say you think that if Gavin Newsom went into office and subverted Congress to declare war and kill thousands of people in the Middle East, that he wouldn't face electoral consequences for that, and there wouldn't be like a civil war and unrest. It's like, well, hold on. Donald Trump is doing that right now. He's already in office. He's in office for 3 more years. Yeah, he's facing electoral consequences, but he doesn't have to deal with those until at least the midterms, and then definitely not until he's out of office. So why does it matter?
Yeah, but we could change the laws so that he can't do this. Somebody can't do this.
He already can't. It's already illegal.
Let me ask Hutch and IRI. I'm curious because they seem surprised by my answer. Pisco believes that we're, a backsliding democracy or democracy inclined. I imagine Niels feels the same way. I'm curious, what about you two? Do you think that we're a backsliding democracy or democracy incline, a decline?
I think we are backsliding for sure right now, but I'm not resigned to the same outcome that you are. Like, I don't necessarily think that. Well, no. Josiah, when he says in decline, I think he does mean that we're kind of inevitably headed towards an outcome where the Republic.
Is that what you mean?
No, I just think that I wouldn't say inevitably, because if that's the case, then I couldn't do what I do. I already believe that on balance of probability, Trump's going to get away with it. I'm wealthy enough, I can just move to a different country. I couldn't continue with political commentary. Well, I don't think it's inevitable. That you're being a bit too hyperbolic there. I'm asking you though, do you think that?
Well, if you just mean immediately, are we backsliding a bit in terms of? Like,
well, I don't think anything is preordained. That's why I'm not going to say we are sliding downwards. Yeah. We can stop or continue, but we are sliding. You agree with that, right?
Of course, yeah, of course.
IRI, do you agree with that?
I think we're being challenged right now. I don't think we're taking a step back. I think it's temporary, and I think Trump is stress testing the system that will hold, and we will be better on the other side. So this is why I'm shocked that you're like having negative feelings about America. When O.J. Simpson was acquitted for murder, I lost some faith in the justice system, but I didn't like get depressed
when
about
it's a
it.
black
I wasn't
guy.
like, oh, it's the end of the justice system. It's like, well, bad things can happen sometimes, you know.
Wait, you think O.J. was guilty? No, I'm fucking with you.
Wow. That's kind of where my head goes a little bit. Like, I guess in my mind, I'm just like, Trump is not going to be, if he dies a rich man with no consequences of natural causes, he will not be the first or the last by any stretch corrupt piece of shit that got away with it.
Okay, but then Hutch.
Yeah, like the Civil War traitors got away with it.
Let's come to an agreement. I think we can end this. All right. Will you stop saying Trump is an existential threat to democracy?
No, don't say this. Don't do this.
Wait. Hang on a second. You can have
the system's definitely going to hold, right? We don't have to worry about it. You can have the view
that Donald Trump and his movement pose a significant threat to the republic without taking the extreme view that you take, which is that it is now necessary to take potentially extrajudicial or extra legal methods to deal with that.
You already agreed. If he was an existential threat to millions of people's lives in California and it was immediate, that you would pursue extrajudicial means, right?
Because Soy Pill, if he nukes California, that is civil war.
The action and the action right there, actually successfully and likely will ameliorate the imminent threat. But this is, I could give you the same thing, Soy Pill. You would be unwilling to video game Trump if your trumped up charges don't work, right? Does that mean that you don't think Trump is an existential threat?
I don't know if I'd be completely unwilling. It would depend on the circumstances.
Oh my God.
So,
no, but are you kidding?
You're fucking Daenerys Targaryen. That's what you are right now.
Hey, I'm Daenerys Targaryen season 2, where she kills the slaves. No. Okay, I support Daenerys Targaryen.
So, like, we can all think of hypotheticals.
That's how it starts.
We can all think of hypotheticals where it would be, but like in general, your intuition was when that was presented, this wouldn't address the existential nature of the threat to the democracy, and that's the same thing that Hutch is suggesting.
Is if Minecrafting Trump wouldn't address this, I think it would have been even worse for our country if he had actually died in that assassination attempt. I think it would have radicalized his base. I think that he would become martyred. You wouldn't have gotten to see him deteriorate. And the more competent people, you guys keep going back to this. He's full of incompetent people. Yes, his admin is full of incompetent people. What happens when these same agenda people, a Peter Thiel or a Curtis Yarvin inspired person, gets into power and they're not incompetent and they're testing the system? And then
that's why it's so good that Trump is the one that got in there and revealed all the flaws that we can shore up, so that when a Peter Thiel does get elected president, he can't do shit.
He's actually kind of a double agent when you think about it. He's actually doing us a solid. But in all seriousness, I do want to engage with IRI here, because I take your point on O.J. Simpson. I was alive when that happened, but not conscious of what happened. But I think it's fair to say that a sitting president doing what Trump has done between, trying to steal the 2020 election, January 6th, violating the peaceful transfer of power, the unprecedented corruption, the usurpation of congressional authority, and then getting away with it at the end. I think that's a more significant blow to American democracy than, rest in peace, Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman, than the murders of 2 people going unanswered. I think that's fair to say. Like, we would all agree it's orders of magnitude worse. So I take your point, but I think it's a bit disanalogous. I would agree with you. Murderers get away with it every day, and that's tragic, but it's not a threat to American democracy. I think Donald Trump getting away with what he's done, that is a major step forward in the democratic decline of America. And I expect political scientists who study these things would agree that that would be a major development, a major regression, because he has such outsized influence.
I don't disagree with you on that, any of what you just said. I just think we're so far away from Trump being able to steal this that people are focusing too much on this small chance, and he's already failed. Like his plans have already failed. The mid-decade redistricting has been a flop. His little SAVE Act, none of it's working. His taking the ballots from Fulton County, none of it's going to work. None of it's going to work.
Did you see he there was something about is it Arizona? I just saw some like breaking news about that a couple of hours ago. So, but I think that's a separate thing, right? So there is the question about what Trump could do in terms of the 2026 and 2028. But I'm not even factoring that into my analysis. I'm talking about if nothing else, if his illegality, corruption, and unconstitutionality ended today, and he just acted like a normal fucking president for the remainder of his term, and still pardoned himself and everybody else on the way out the door, I still think that would be a major development, major regression in America's backsliding. And I do think there's a deterrent factor too, because again. Let's look at the timeline, which I think is most of the timelines in the multiverse where Trump gets away with it. Then the question is, what's next? Okay, well, again, Pisco laid out some good examples that there could be state charges there. You could expand the court, and if somebody challenges the constitutionality of Trump pardoning himself or mass pardons, maybe a liberal court would be like, no,
Section
fuck that.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. So there are some ways in theory that you could still get Trump outside of this. But then you talk about the reforms that are needed. That still would require major political capital expenditure to make the necessary reforms to prevent, future Trump. Because the problem is twofold. I think there's inherent value to punishing Trump and his co-conspirators, kind of like any sort of punishment. And again, Pisco's the lawyer here, right? When a judge
and protection rationale, 100%.
Exactly.
Just like it's a significant interest. I don't want to downplay what Soy Pill and people are saying in the chat. It is a significant interest. It's the most important interest to me, as it is Jesiah, is to vote for a candidate who I think is most likely to push for accountability and punishment. It is one of my most important policy goals. But it's separate to say that it's a very, very important thing to do this than to say, well, to impose this deterrent effect justifies violating the Constitution. Is it that level? And it's different than the Jack Bauer situations, because in the Jack Bauer situation, there's a ticking clock, and the action, the revolts, whatever the thing is that you have to do is going to prevent that imminent thing. This deterrent effect, it's useful, but I don't know that it's strictly speaking like necessary for the continuation of our democracy. In the same way, like we were able to reconstruct
Can I ask
not
Pisco,
perfectly after the Civil War.
I need to ask Pisco. Do you think it's more likely that an extrajudicial means to try to stop Trump from ever trying this again, is that more likely, or Trump trying again is succeeding more likely?
More likely to occur?
What's more likely to succeed? Us, like if we got to an extrajudicial means and trying to pursue Trump imprisonment through this, or Trump trying to steal the election and succeeding? Which is more likely to
I think Trump trying to steal the election when he's in office, or you mean when he's not in office?
Either one.
Can I say
I think in general... Go for it.
Well, I don't want to interrupt your point because I just want to address something Jesiah said. So go ahead, Pisco.
Don't forget about it, IRA. Don't forget about it.
It depends on what the extrajudicial thing is. If it's video gaming him, I mean, it's very easy to do that, right? And I'm sorry, I'm not calling for it. I'm against that shit. But like, if the question is to do it with trumped up charges, that's almost certain to fail. And my view is with Hutch that it's almost certain. Like, I'm not that confident, but like, it's likely to backfire. My intuition is it will backfire and it won't produce the desired result. It's almost like when people talk about this regime change in Iran. It's like, I'm not convinced that the current strategy will produce the result we want. And the question you have to ask yourself is doing trumped up charges, if that's what the proposal is, and oftentimes it's very vague, it's just like do more. But if the specific proposal is trumped up political charges, then what is the odds that that's going to have the desired effect any more than video gaming, right? Like, is that really going to make people more deterred? Is it actually going to be successful in getting the results? I'm not convinced of that. That's why one of reasons I'm against violating the Constitution to do a thing that I don't think will produce the result we want.
Yeah, it'll cause more damage. But to Jesiah, to your point, I accept all of the damage that has been done, and if they get away with it, it'll hurt. But I see the violent pendulum swing back that in response to what Trump has done and will do, I don't even think we've seen the worst yet, that will disgust so many people, even on the right, like what he's done with the Epstein files cover-up, that we will be able to implement amazing things and move this country just light years forward. And so I think that offsets by a lot any of the bullshit that Trump does that hurt our democracy.
The two things right now that Democrats all over the country are running on very successfully that giving a blueprint for the future candidates when we get to the general in November is affordability and not accountability, but corruption. So like, that's great. We should focus on those things. It feels counterintuitive to me for a Democrat to come into office in 2029 and then just like be fully corrupt. If we're gonna like that, because that is what we're talking about here. And I want to address the chat real quick. I just want to say something in the chat. Everybody, every one of you motherfuckers that's in any of our chats that are calling me a fucking pussy or a limp-wristed coward, you're right. You're right. I wish I had your courage.
Put that wrist down.
I wish I had your courage.
Put them up. Put them up.
I wish I had your courage to type things on the internet and then not do anything.
I'm gonna go to the Walmart.
Hang on, if you guys are calling me fucking
this is a boomer moment, Hutch. Don't do this. Don't do this.
I'm not done. Every one of you motherfuckers, you better be doomsday prepping. You better be buying MREs. You better be buying Minecraft pickaxes and then going to the pickaxe range and practicing. You better be linking up with other people who share your view and getting ready to. Otherwise, you're just doing the fucking Basil tweet unironically. You're all doing
Draft Baron Trump. Draft Baron Trump.
Unironically. Oh, you think your strategy of voting is going to work? What about my strategy of doing all this Minecraft stuff and then not doing any Minecraft stuff? You better be fucking preparing for the incoming civil war if you're calling me a fucking pussy, okay? It takes no courage to type. And if Donald Trump was half the fascist that you guys think he actually is right now, none of you would be typing this on a public fucking social media platform.
Now you are downplaying. Now downplaying.
You heard it first. Hutch says Trump's not a fascist. Clip it. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking with you.
In practice, you all think that he's this lawless person who is already just like, we're already there. We're already like maximally fucked. If we were, none of you would be typing this on the internet right now because you'd be afraid that the Gestapo would show up at your house and black bag you and throw you in a fucking prison cell. And none of you are afraid of that right now. Okay, so either prepare for the incoming civil war or stop calling me a fucking pussy about it. Okay.
So unless your name is Romeza Ozturk, which Hutch conveniently ignores, or Mahmoud Khalil, then you can write an op-ed and the criminal fascist goose-stepping ICE will
Nobody
just put a bag over your head.
Nobody said he's not abusing ICE, but you don't have Pisco. Right now, do you feel any danger that you're going to be black bagged and thrown into a secret prison?
No, I don't feel that danger right now.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, before I popped on, I called the Trump administration and dropped an anonymous tip on Pisco. Fuck you.
But the thing is, like, I think that people, that these things, there's almost like an exponential nature sometimes to how things break down. And so I don't think it's inappropriate for people to be doomsaying right now and being very, very highly concerned. I think that's really, really, really good. The question we're asking is almost academic in nature. It's like, what if we get to the result where we win the election, we're in power, what to do then? And then there's like a set of proposals. I see people in chat, they're triggering.
I know.
Like,
Pisco, we should appoint Trump as chancellor just to appease MAGA.
we should just surrender.
Hope that the MAGA kind of just goes away after that.
So I was going to respond to IRI there. Go ahead, IRI. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, how much time should we spend on, going after Trump versus moving the country forward?
You talking about in terms of campaigning or once we're back in power?
Well, once we're back in power, how important is it to you that we go after all these people or focus on policy and doing good stuff?
Real talk, to me, structural reform is, in my opinion, the necessary first step in a way which would facilitate both you going after Trump and passing policy. I still have not heard a single convincing argument to the contrary. I don't think any of you can get past it and I know Pisco's on my side here. I can't speak for 100%. I am. But if you don't pack the Supreme Court, I think that most of a Democratic agenda is dead on arrival day one. I believe that.
I say unpack it. I think
fair enough. Yeah, expand it. Whatever language you want to use. There's nothing like IRA. You know the government at least as well as I do, maybe even more. There's nothing that, in theory, a Democratic trifecta couldn't pass that could get forum shopped by some asshole Republican, attorney general, make its way up to this right-wing Supreme Court, and they'll strike it down. So
it would have to be both. It would have to be both. Because like if you get in there and you focus exclusively on, packing the court and structural reforms, I'm predicting people are going to elect Democrats in 2026 and 2028. A lot of them, most of them, it's going to be because the economy is kind of shitty right now and they want the Democrats to deliver relief for them. And if you ignore that and spend all your capital on things like packing the court and really not enough on these other things that address people's immediate needs, then I do think that you run the risk of, blowing.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. It's a tightrope, but my question is like that's where I think packing the court's necessary. So like what are some things that you think in terms of federal statute would need to be done in terms of what the American people want?
Oh, I mean, go ahead.
Just spitball.
I think by the time Trump leaves office, reforming the power of pardon to take it away from one individual, so it's like on states where they have a commission that recommends people. I think that's one thing.
I think you'd need a constitutional amendment to do that, right? Or you would need a sympathetic Supreme Court to agree with that interpretation of the pardon as described in the Constitution. So that's one example. The other thing for that, it could be changes to the ACA. Well, the ACA's constitutionality has been challenged. I mean, they never actually gutted it, but what was the thing that they took away?
It's so clever, and by clever I mean devious, and this is how horrible Trump is.
Yeah,
Trump. So the ACA was affirmed on the notion that it was a tax because it imposed this penalty, and so Trump, in order to try to destroy it during a pandemic, got rid of the tax aspect of it and was like, therefore, it's not constitutional, right? And through the skin of its teeth, because there was no tax anymore, there was no injury anymore, and because there was no injury, there was no standing. The ACA, if he puts another Supreme Court justice on there, I'm not convinced they won't overturn Sebelius, which said that this was a valid exercise of legislative authority. And so, I totally agree with Jessiah that structural reform is necessary. The question is it sufficient? And I agree with IRI and Hutch.
It's not sufficient. No, totally agree. And I'm not saying this to get Hutch in a gotcha or IRI, because I agree with him. Therein lies the challenge. What I'm saying is if you just focus like, okay, we'll set Supreme Court reform or structural reform aside. We're just going to pass good law that will benefit the American people. The Supreme Court's the ultimate cockblock, baby. As soon as if they grant cert, they can, with a simple majority, strike it down. And then they can work backwards. Pisco might not agree with this. I don't know how much faith he has in the court's judicial philosophy at this point. But a cynic like me would say, oh, fuck, we don't like this particular thing that the Democrats are doing, so we're going to rule it as unconstitutional, reverse engineer a constitutional argument to justify it. That's the great thing about being the Supreme Court. You're the least active branch, but when it comes to this shit, you're the most powerful, the most powerful.
And even if they end up on the right side of things, they will slow it down. And this is a game of time. We're buying time. Like right now, we're trying to bog them down with bullshit. This is a game of time. And when the Democrats take power, hoping they do, knock on wood, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, but it will be a race. And any latitude you give the courts, interest groups, whatever you want to say, to stick their hand, this is like abundance pilled, right? To stick their hands and slow down the levers of power and of change that we need to put in for this country, consistent with the Constitution, all that. That is going to be time off the clock. And Democrats need to work fast, because if they're too slow, the American people won't feel the change that they so desperately
should they do one big beautiful bill?
So Hutch, it's funny you say that, because that's been my working theory for some time, that you would have to do some sort of omnibus bill which simultaneously says, whatever the populist checklist is, Medicare for all, paid family leave, and we're also expanding the Supreme Court in it. You know what I mean? Because I take your point seriously. I don't know how to do this. If you just pitch it as structural reform, it's not sexy enough, right? And I think yet it's also necessary. So I think you're gonna have to do a big beautiful bill.
I mean, I think, and I get a lot of pushback from people because they think that when I say this, I'm not appreciating the urgency. But I think you need to view a lot of these goals as long-term projects. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that you don't try in the next Congress, of course. Like, I mean, I do think that the Democrats are positioned really well, and I wouldn't even rule out like a pretty big mandate in 2028. And so at that point, a lot of things are possible, especially if they can summon up the courage to get rid of the filibuster, which I actually think there's a decent chance of that happening. I mean, Obama was like pushing for it when he went on Brian Tyler Cohen like a week and a half ago, and so maybe
Pete Buttigieg is talking about it too, like during his like public appearances. Like, I
think Republicans are in a shit spot right now, because if they get rid of the filibuster, I mean, they don't really have it's very dysfunctional right now, so they're gonna have a hard time passing stuff if they do that. If the Democrats, walk into a filibuster-less Senate in 2028, or 2029 rather, that's a really good position for them to be in. So,
I want to ask one last clarifying question on this, because the only real disagreement we have is how scared we are of the possibility. And I missed one day of my anti-anxiety meds, so maybe that's why I'm freaking out about this. Okay. But my question is, in the absurd hypothetical, because this is basically how bad I view it. I think if Trump were to be able to steal the election, there's like the possibility of him being able to stop democracy is greater than 1%, and that's too much for me.
Yeah.
In the absurd hypothetical, where Donald Trump, a year before the election, is signaling, I'm going to steal the election. You're not going to know how. And when I get into power, I'm going to nuke California. This absurd hypothetical. This might be a continuum fallacy, but how long before the election, before you say, okay, maybe we do need to try something drastic to stop this?
Okay.
Or is it when he wins?
3
if
months.
we get there, sure. You will find all of us saying time to do something drastic, but that is absurd.
But
that's absolutely absurd.
What's happening now?
But you're reading too many Atlantic articles, man. You got to chill.
You think I read, guy? I read.
Here's the thing.
I was going to say yes, TDS.
I have TDS.
As you realize, as time goes by, nothing's 100%. There's always a chance of some bad thing happening, no matter what it is in life. I understand that it's our democracy on the line, but even if we lost our democracy, we could get it back. It's possible. Believe it or not, it is possible. So I'm not worried about any of this shit, man. And I'm glad we have a reality star loser who can't get anything done to stress test it so we can fix it for the future.
I made this argument a number of times in the last couple of weeks, but I would implore you to, let's say he like sends in DOJ to literally seize voting machines, right? That would be a significant escalation. We all agree in the midterms, right? I would implore you to just take a look at the way that the country has responded so far during the second Trump term and look at the brave Americans in Minnesota that their numbers grew larger. They killed a person, thousands started protest, killed another person, thousands more showed up to protest. If he were to do that, like steal voting machines, like literally banana republics type shit, I am so positive.
Doing a road trip. We're going to fucking Georgia.
I'm so positive that there would be like 20, 30, 40 million people demonstrating. I mean, and he would not have the backing of the military if he tried to do some coup. He would not. He is a sundowning, fucking incompetent God King or would be God King here. You know what I mean? Like, or Mad King. He does not have the kind of power and support that he would need to do something like that. The people would take to the streets, shut shit down, and he would lose that fight. I feel I'm not like that's a very dangerous thing, but I have faith that we will respond in kind and overcome this fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. This is where my cynicism comes in. I agree on balance of probability. Trump is probably not the worst case scenario. I'm thinking about the worst case scenario that might be incentivized if he's not adequately punished and the system is not adequately reformed. And I think you need both. I think that's the win condition. You do need both. One will not simply do it. Because as people have pointed out, and I know Destiny's talked about this a lot more, I think others are as well. I think you guys were talking about it earlier, which is that the entire system is predicated on good faith, right? And there's no combination of words on any parchment that can control for that. So again, I think you need both. You have to punish the people who violated this, and you have to make the necessary reforms. But I do think it's cold comfort to a lot of people to think like, okay, well, in the end, the good guys win. It's like every movie we've ever watched, the good guys went. Hitler was beaten at the end of the Second World War. Look at the bodies between then and the surrender of Japan.
That is a contradiction.
Yeah,
the good guys always win.
Oh Jesus Christ!
It's a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so that's just the scary thing here. But yeah, to answer the question, I do think you're going to have to find a way to creatively balance legislation, which the American people want, as far as kitchen table issues, with the structural reforms necessary. Because again, there's just nothing I can think of. Cenk Uygur talks all the time. He's like, put me in office in 20 days, I'll have paid family leave. Again, as if the Supreme Court couldn't strike that the fuck down or stay it. Because that's the other thing too. Pisco was talking about the waiting game and how it's a game of time. We already talked about how when it's a Democratic president wanting to do something either via legislation or executive order, this Supreme Court will say, nope, you can't do it while we're thinking about it. We're going to drag this shit out. Then when it's a Republican president, they're like, well, fuck, we might rule against you. But in the meantime, just do whatever the fuck you want. We're not going to stay. Actually, we're going to overturn courts of appeals and other people staying your tariff power. We're actually going to say, go ahead and do it while we deliberate on this. And so and again, you guys were talking about this earlier, the institutional disadvantages we have are only getting worse, even in the media, like the CNN Warner Brothers buyout,
CBS,
like, yeah,
and
Jesus
CNN
Christ,
and all, yeah.
you know, and even the big dogs in alternative media, I'm like the runt of the litter. We are outnumbered and outgunned by the people on the right. It's
nonetheless, though, this president is historically unpopular.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
Know, like,
and losing.
So these things are, you know, challenges in the future, and you know, you know, I'm not downplaying those, but now, like, they have all these institutional advantages, and they have this advantage in the media, but he's historically unpopular. So, like,
how likely do you think we take the Senate?
I need to ask again, because you guys are more confident than me, and I really hope I'm wrong. What is the signal for you guys? I know this is hard because there could be a million things where this could be like presented, but what is the signal where your guys are like, whoa, this has crossed the line of I don't think the system's going to hold? Like, what do I need to look out for?
Trump ignoring the courts in a serious way. I know people say, but he has in a very serious way. Now we've got a constitutional crisis. That is the sign.
Or if he, you know, like I said a moment ago, like if he actually seized voting machines, or, you know, if he you know, sicked federal law enforcement and arrested Obama, that's basically what you're suggesting that Newsom should do in the future. You know, like he would have to take some action that indicated that the system has just completely broken. And like right now, as bad as it's gotten, and as advantaged Republicans are in the courts and in the media and in other ways as well, the system is not broken yet. And the system has constrained Trump in very, very, very meaningful ways.
Soy Pill, are you looking for a white pill?
I'm looking for the white. Well, because like,
I can give you one.
When you say ignoring the courts, and it's like, okay, well, he has, but then they rein him in later. Like what if he just consistently does it over and over on the same subject? Or because he's gonna, like, I mean, his vice president ran on let's ignore the courts, let's install loyalist judges.
He also ran on if he were Mike Pence in 2021, he wouldn't have certified the election. I mean, Vance was a triple threat there.
I want to be clear. I think we are in a constitutional crisis right now. We have been since early on in the administration. I think that we're living through a constitutional crisis, and I think that it's not just the Supreme Court. I mean, the federal judicial power is vested in inferior courts too. And just look at the Minnesota District Court listing out all like 90 plus times that they're not complying with orders and stuff. So it is a wide sweeping problem. It's really, really horrible. The white pill for me, Soy Pill, is I think that the administration is not calibrated enough, and they're moving too slowly. Even though it seems, and it is true, that they've done a lot of fucked shit, and I don't underestimate, you shouldn't underestimate your enemy, ever. Don't underestimate Trump either. He's more crafty, and he has a kind of a viciousness / intuition sometimes that I think people have a tendency sometimes to underestimate. But putting that aside, I think they're moving too slow. I think they're too distracted, and people are lining up for 2028 election, and the people are worried about advancement. I mean, the very fact that they're in court arguing whether or not they're complying with orders is some sign that, regardless of the ideological commitment, which I don't think is there for democracy, there is a kind of like ritualistic or physiological commitment to certain aspects of American culture. Waiting on election day, these fascists having podcasts to see the returns coming in and then coping about the results. Going to court, paying lawyers advancing themselves, career advancement, and the American people with this kind of like muscle memory of democracy. That for me is the white pill, and I don't think they've moved nearly fast enough to fuck shit up and to move their legislation, executive orders. I think that the election will be free and fair this midterm, and I think that we'll win.
That's not a white pill enough for me. I hope you're right, but I will say that. But
what about the Senate? Real quick, well, I asked you guys about the Senate. What do you think, Hutch and IRI, the two optimists on the panel? How are you feeling about the Senate?
I mean, I like our odds, to be honest with you. I fucking love Tallarico. I think he should run for president one day, and I think Peltola has a really good chance in Alaska, and I feel good about Maine, even though I don't like Blattner. But hey, he does seem to be polling really well against Collins for now. And then what's the other one? North Carolina?
My boy, Roy Cooper, baby.
I think it's 50-50 right now. I think it's 50-50 right now if we take the Senate. But if we do you guys understand, like, that would be exceptionally, like, kind of crazy. And another testament to just, like, I don't think the American people chose fascism in 2024. I think they chose someone who they thought was going to bring their bills down and make their paychecks go further. And I think when they've actually seen him do his more fashy things, they've been disgusted by it, and they're voicing their disgust at the ballot box, and it's it's pretty overwhelming. Like
I got a text from Roy Cooper actually right here.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, you
fucking
didn't.
asking for money. Yeah, exactly. It was funny. He literally popped up. It's like, maybe Roy Cooper. I'm like, Roy?
They're
Are we on the
listening, bro. They're
texting?
listening.
The Hakeem Jeffries is in the Epstein files because his fucking
Oh,
campaign sent like a.
I love that. That's so fucking
I'll
stupid.
say, I think our chances winning Senate aren't that high. I hate to be the doomer, but this is just realistic. I think North Carolina, Maine look pretty good, though Susan Collins is a cockroach who survives every time somehow. But I think the path that people are looking at through Texas is a bit of a pipe dream
road.
unless Ken Paxton wins. So I wish people would focus more on Ohio with Sherrod Brown, Iowa,
Alaska.
whoever the candidate is there, or Alaska with Patola. These are the paths. We have to flip 4. We got to hold on to Ossoff, which I don't think is a given, and we got to win that Michigan seat, which I think is a little easier. So I think there's a chance. I think there's like 30-40% chance, but I'm not putting my heart into it.
I love how far we've evolved. Where now no one knows who Jesiah is.
The lore has moved on. I'm basically. Do you guys ever watch New Girl?
Yeah,
I'm basically Damon Wayans in the pilot, and you guys are in like season 2. You guys have moved on.
Hey, he comes back.
He does.
So,
He does. Yeah.
Are you
for a
guys-
spell?
Are you guys familiar with the Serenity Prayer?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's a prayer in recovery spaces. It's a real brief prayer, and it's just, God, grant me the serenity to accept.
Well, wait. Hang on. Let's hold
Hold on,
hands and do it here real quick.
Oh yeah, no. Hold on. All right. So it's, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We can choose to spend all of our time thinking about, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that? I don't think that's a really healthy way to live your life. I don't think that actually helps you remain vigilant for the future. I don't think it's actually helpful to stay in that, what if this happens and what if that happens? It might happen. I'm not telling you it won't happen. I'm not telling you that it won't get worse before it gets better. But it doesn't actually help you prepare for what you possibly might need to do in the future.
Yeah, I don't think it motivates people to get more involved. I think it gives people an excuse to kind of check out and say, well, it's already written, there's nothing I can do to change it. So what's the point? And then they feel better just kind of dooming about it.
We can all
I also want to doom a little bit about the filibuster. I hate to pop balloons here, but I don't think we have the votes in the Dems if we win the Senate to get rid of the filibuster in 2029. I think our best chance is Trump putting pressure on the Senate to get rid of it over the SAVE Act. And if that's the price we have to pay getting the SAVE Act to get rid of the filibuster.
Too many cucks.
IRI, respectfully, I disagree. I think our best chance is if Joe Biden had pressured Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin I can't even do it with a straight face. Sorry.
Wait,
Okay,
but
Kyle,
IRI, if he gets rid of the SAVE Act, let's I know we're still up in the air of like who might win or like who might be more hurt by that. Well, let's say that does be the thing that steals democracy. Like it makes it so Democrats can't win elections anymore. Then who cares that the filibuster's nuke,
It
right?
can't. No, the SAVE Act is not as crazy as people make it out to be. It would definitely disenfranchise some people, but it would hurt a lot of Republicans, and it's not going to stop the wave that's coming.
How confident are you of that, though?
I'm very confident in that.
Decently confident. Yeah.
Do you think that there's any
can't stop what's
combination of things like the SAVE Act, the VRA decision,
can't stop what's coming.
gerrymander?
No.
I mean,
Okay.
Texas redrew their map, assuming that the Hispanics had like drifted towards them in a demographic realignment. That's fucking gone. So they fucked themselves in Texas.
But in
as
North
well.
Carolina, it's so gerrymandered that like it's considered an electoral win if the Republicans don't have a supermajority.
Yes.
Well,
It is, my man. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Gerrymandering is not relevant for a Senate race.
No, I'm aware, but I'm saying like you guys are saying like there's no combination of things could end the democracy, and it's like I feel like that's almost kind of happened to an extent in certain states where it's like Democrat votes literally don't matter because of laws passed, not because of they don't have the wherewithal and the platform and the support. It's like no, they've legislated Democrats out of having a voice.
But we've done the same to them in some blue states.
Yeah, but not in a purple state. Like what the Republicans did in Wisconsin and North Carolina is extraordinary. Speaking of, by the way, Wisconsin, there is another resignation from a conservative Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin.
Who is it?
Ann Ziegler, I think is what her name is. I think
she's the chief, right?
Yeah, she's the chief justice, so she will not seek re-election in 2027. And there's a Wisconsin Supreme Court race this year. So we already have a liberal majority. We can further entrench that majority, and then if she resigns, we could have like basically a fully fucking packed Wisconsin SCOTUS or Wisconsin Supreme Court, which is extremely important. But yeah, North Carolina, bro, I live here. Like, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. We had a lady back in 2023. Her name is Trisha Cotham. She ran to represent part of Mecklenburg County here in Charlotte. She ran as a progressive pro-choice candidate, and then 2 months after being seated, flipped to Republican and gave them the veto-proof supermajority. And then, to do her a solid, they redrew her district because they knew she was fucked. As she couldn't post anywhere without getting ratioed to hell and back, Facebook, Twitter, and so they redrew her lines. I'm pretty sure she's still there, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I was as confident to say if the VRA gets gutted and there's more gerrymandering.
Democrats can lose this election. Don't believe Hutch that it's in the bag. Like there's a decent chance that Democrats can lose the election.
What did Laksha say? What did Laksha say as far as margins go? That there could be like a 20-seat tsunami, like there was a 40-seat.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he gave a specific projection. I'm going to talk to him again on Thursday, I think. So I can ask him. But if it's like a D+7 or a D+8 or a D+9 kind of climate, that's a wave. I don't know if it'll be 2018, but that'll be a pretty comfortable majority.
All right. Well, guys, we're 30 minutes over. Josiah stole host from me, and he deserves this. He can do it at any time, at any moment. I just want you to know it's all.
No, listen.
Wait. I just want to say
I came in here to yell at Pisco.
Can I just say something, Josiah?
What's up, buddy? Go ahead.
I surrender. Hey,
listen.
It's Josiah.
I still love you. But if you had any idea, I was minding my own business, I was listening to you guys, I was in my boxers,
I knew it would
I
make
ran
you
out
mad.
of bed, I texted the soy pill. I'm like, let me the fuck on. Yeah.
I know. But I just wanted to say, I surrender. This is my surrender.
So we know how to get him back. Every episode just talks mad shit.
No, listen. I'm tired. Listen.
No, he loves it. He loves it.
The only two people I haven't screamed at here are, I think, Soy Pill and IRI.
That's true. That's coming.
Yeah.
We'll never scream at each other.
No, we won't.
I was surprised. I raised my voice at IRI, and I felt like I kicked a puppy. I'm like, you're so nice to me. Like, I shouldn't have done that. I was just very passionate.
IRI is chill as fuck. I'm convinced he's on edibles 24/7, but I don't think so. I think it's just like a natural zen. He looks 20 years younger than what he is.
He's in the state of Neo at the end of the Matrix, where he's not even looking. He's just deflecting all the Republican punches. He's like, this is a system holding. He can't.
Can we just do a quick little shout out to another nice guy, Econo Boy, wherever he is?
God,
somewhere out there.
Rest in peace.
Family
out for him, guys.
Yeah. Hutch, what were you saying, buddy?
I just want to say, listen, if you're
He's the host, he's doing the host stuff. Sorry.
I imagine Econo Boy kind of like. He's like in Brody Quest, he's in like the cosmos now to do whatever. Anyways, if anybody is in anybody's chat, or if my fellow panelists are feeling resigned to an outcome where America just fails and these bastards like win, maybe don't go on the internet for a little bit. Like, you don't need to spend your time trying to convince other people that all is lost. Yeah. Like, who are you helping by doing that?
Just blowing his bottom line up right now. Stop watching me. Stop going on the internet. Sever your internet connection. Cut your Ethernet cable.
It's like
turn off Twitch.
If a fire broke out in a house, and there's like 4 people and they're all kind of collected and they're trying to, where's the fucking fire extinguisher? And then there's one guy in the house screaming at the top of his lungs over and over, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. Like running around manically in circles. Okay. You're not helping anyone by doing this. Like,
I think what Hutch is saying, 4 people would get out, but there would be a 5th body found in the wreckage.
Just don't spend your time dedicated to trying to make other people feel as fucking hopeless as you do. Okay, some of us are still in this fucking fight.
Fighting wars.
Get involved. Go volunteer for 2 hours and meet some hotties and hang out with some people. You go out in the real world and meet some normies who aren't at a No Kings protest and doing campaigns in their spare time. And trust me, it's a lot of fun. It's inspiring.
Performative males.
Did you put Green Lantern in your thing? Josiah, do you still have like overall control of the restream? Because I think we're still using your.
Yeah.
Wait, can I? Bam! I can kick him.
Oh shit!
Wow. Oh yeah. Let's duel at dawn.
He's practicing. He's practicing using the kind of power he wants Newsom to use.
We're technically so what it is we're technically using the same admin function. It's like Gandalf the White and Sauron the White. We're technically both of white status.
Which are you? Which are you?
I guess. Well, technically, I guess I'd be Saruman because Soy Pill is my successor.
We must join with them. We must join with Sauron.
Who the fuck? Alexander Wilson. Whose chat is that person in? Have fun.
Not mine. I didn't connect my
shit.
shit.
Please don't start another chat pogrom.
Have fun while the world burns. Bro, if you think everything's fucked, go fucking masturbate and do crimes in Minecraft. Who gives a shit? Why are you talking shit on fucking Twitch if you literally think the world's gonna end, bro? What are you doing? Go live your life. Like, be happy and be free and, you know, enjoy.
Alexander what?
Do you really want to look
Alexander
back on the
what?
On the time?
He's in your chat, Hutch.
Oh.
No, I'm fucking with you.
Fucking.
Wait, hold on. Are they?
What's the name? What's the name?
I'm gone is what I want.
Please don't start another chat fucking cycle.
They are in my chat. Get out of here. You're out of here.
See, IRI does the smart thing and doesn't even link his chat. That's the real reason why he doesn't do this. They talk mad shit, I'm sure. No, they're chill.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right.
But this is why I'm glad.
Oh, sorry.
I'm glad Jessiah jumped up here because I don't want people being down on America. I'm very optimistic about the future, man. I'm very excited for what comes next. But we got to get through this bullshit. We got to sludge through it, man. But we'll be all right.
I agree. Don't go down on America. Don't go down on her.
Never. Always bet on America.
We'll be there with you. And if some shit pops off, you know, we might need to just go to North Carolina and just be peaceful and patriotic. But
that's why Hutch bought that gun.
We'll tell you when that happens.
I got a fucking big old hand cannon, bro. And in Minecraft,
Stop. Okay, we're joking, guys. It's all metaphoric. We don't support that shit. But yeah, I think that all these people, we're all on the same page. Let's win this fucking election. We can win this election, and let's do it. I don't know.
We're all canvassing together, right? We're doing this?
Yes.
All
yeah,
right.
but which state?
Is this in let's go.
I don't know.
I want to go to Maine. Who wants to come to Maine?
No, I want to listen. I haven't been to fucking California. I've never been out west.
You can do multiple.
But what are the races?
They're about to have a fucking
canvas?
Republican governor, so I mean, we might as well enjoy
Valley?
it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's too many Dems in the
primary. Right now. Yeah, there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah,
but there'll be one, right?
They'll drop out.
Hopefully.
Who do you think it'll be? Porter, Swalwell?
I think
Steyer.
Do you think Steyer's going to be last man standing?
Right
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was interviewed by Hutch's favorite person recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We have to go to either Maine or Alaska. You guys have to pick. We had to go one of the corners.
I'm out if it's Maine or Alaska. Why don't listen? North Carolina. That's an important state.
We'll go Roy Cooper. We'll go Roy Cooper.
You guys come to me.
Let's do Roy Cooper.
You guys come to me.
Let's do Roy Cooper.
Let's end this podcast. I have to go.
I love you guys.
As soon as I say come to me, Hutch is like he wants to leave. I get it.
I have to feed my pets.
All right.
No, hey, cool. Soy Pill's my boy. Thank you for representing the position.
No, you're my boy, Pisco.
Okay. Love you guys.
Bye. Girls are like, no, I love you.
Bye, got anything coming up, Hutch, before you piss yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm setting up something interesting on Thursday. I don't want to say what it is yet, but you might want to tune into the stream because it'll be a good one. Laksha's involved and potentially somebody else, but we'll figure it out.
I might tune in. I mean, I actually frequently. So.
This Thursday, I'm talking to Alexander Dugan. You guys know who that is?
Sounds familiar.
I'm just joking. It's just because, never mind.
No. Is that the guy from Russia who?
No, it's a joke.
Got blown up.
All right, I'm fucking around. Okay, we'll be debating. It'll be a good week. Good week, guys. Good content.
All right, I got nothing. Just having some fun on TikTok.
I released a new video last week, and I usually don't shout out videos after they're done, but I have a view guarantee on this one, so everyone has to go watch it like 400 times each, so that I get paid the full amount that the advertiser wanted to give me. That's all I'm showing.
Nice. You'll get there.